Oh, the one on the phone. Is there is there n- is there not a legacy like version where you can like turn it off or something? Okay, I'm ready.
Hello, 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 people on YouTube. Welcome back to another edition of Late Night TCG. And according to what the stream says, we're in late number 158 out of 158. So thanks for joining us. I, as always, am Kyle Koopa Rios, joined with my back for the first time in a minute. We've both been a little crazy, a little bit of Latin America here, a little bit of not feeling well there, but back together once again. It's me and Victor Aung. Vic, how are you doing? How you feeling? Let me be the last person to wish you a happy Thanksgiving also while we're at it.
Thank you. Yeah. Came back from a holiday break, came back from Brazil, excited to cast some more matches, and excited to be here with you, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited. We are in 8 rounds today, so we're going to be jumping into our top cut fairly soon. Going to see who we have a couple of options of availability here, but just looking at our top cut right now, it's going to be we've got a nice variety as we've had throughout the entirety of Paradox Rift, which I think we can all comfortably say that has been a very robust and diverse metagame for the most part. We got Liam Halliburton going up against Ethan K. On one side. So that's going to be a Gardevoir. We got Kago and B-Swarm. B-Swarm, I believe, is rocking the Entei Iron Valiant. Kago rocking into Rapid Strike, which is all
It's
again
kind of like the old school damage counter spread versus the new school.
yeah. You versus the girl they told you not to worry about. We got Nelson Geelan going up against M. Clax. 99 here, so that looks like a Snorlax stall going up against Lost Zone Tina. Again, very popular in tonight's meta share, as always, by the way. So Tina, the bridesmaid today to Charizard. No real surprise there. And then rounding out our top cut, we have Moe Haka going up against Meowscarada 831. So again, more Lost Tina going up against more Lost Tina. So
For a second, I thought you were saying Meowscarada was in the top 8, but then I was disappointed.
I'm sorry to bait all you guys at home. Me and my little Sprigatito here also crying.
Name of the player. To be clear to the audience, the name of the player is Meowscarada. The deck is not Meowscarada. Sadly.
No, but if there's if a Masquerada shows up, I'm screaming.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm just gonna take. But yeah, again, quite the diverse metagame here. So looks like we have our options of where to go here. Looks like who do we got streaming here? Looks like we got, I think B-Man streaming one match. I can't tell who this is on my end, but let's take a look what we got. Let's see here. Let's you feeling up for a Gardevoir? Want to?
I will say the finals of EU Late Night was just Gardevoir.
So,
I think it would be interesting to see the Valiant versus Urshifu, but I'm not sure. That might be a bad matchup, so maybe it's not that interesting.
Yeah, if I pull the Discord on my phone, it'll show me which one of those guys is the one actually.
Yeah. So
streaming
B
that.
Swarm is in number 2, so they're playing Valiant, and then
Yeah.
Mailman.
Let's watch that. All right, so hang tight, folks. We're gonna switch over to the other channel because I think we might have a match coming up for you guys soon. So hang tight for 2 seconds. And just as promised, folks, we are getting into it here in game 1 between Iron Valiant Entei going up against Rapid Strike, and it looks like some interesting starters here. Probably not necessarily the starter you'd want here if you are if you're Kago, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it pans out here. So, like you said, this is sort of the matchup of, the old school damage counter spread versus sort of the new school damage counter spread.
Yeah, I think this matchup, I honestly think it is Urshifu and Teleon favored, but given this board state, maybe not so much. Like, it seems that OK Go had to bench a Remoraid and also probably started the Spiritomb, so it does mean that there are plenty of free prizes to pick up from the Valiant player. We'll see if it ends up being the case this turn.
Yeah, and a huge Squawk and Seas right there. You're going to be able to see the Battle VIP pass. And it looks like we have two guaranteed switches in here, so we're going to see some damage thrown around on the board here with some Tachyon bits. And again, that's just kind of the horror of this deck is that, the amount of switching options that Valiant and Entei can play. If you're playing these smaller stage 2 decks or like a deck like Rapid Strike that has to play these sort of smaller Pokemon for the consistency's sake, it can really kind of make you sweat a little bit. It's like, am I going to be able to see what's my board state going to look like on the other end of his turn here?
Yeah, I'm a big Urshi connoisseur, but I actually haven't played this matchup in actuality yet. I've thought about it a lot, and I think the best option is to hope that your hand is good enough to not have to bench Remoraid. But that's obviously not always going to be the case, so here we're not going to see the Remoraid quite get punished, not enough switch cards for that. Only going to be one Tachyon bits, and then the knockout I think is coming next.
Yeah, it looks like that's what we are gearing up for here. You see the attachment of the Future Booster Energy Capsule does provide free retreat to that Iron Valiant, and like you said, the Burning Rondo just going to get the free prize knockout here. Going to put Beast Form up 1 prize card here. Let's see what the hand looks like on the other side here for Kago.
If there is any sort of decent hand at all, I think this will be a very winning position we're going to see here in just a moment, because Inteleon VMAX is a water type, and unlike Cramorant, it does hit for weakness, so can get a knockout this turn.
Yeah, it's funny. You sort of look at some of the matchups where you have to attack with Inteleon, and you're just like you're kind of leaning back in your seat a bit. So you're kind of locked into 140 damage, but with the resurgence of these fire type Pokemon popping up, especially with Entei, you're able to capitalize on that weakness, and we see the Arven come down here. So curious to see what we're gonna get here.
Kago on the Urshi is rocking what I believe is the same 60 that Rahul Reddy played 2 Gdans, got top 16 with, and I am honored to say that I had a part in building that list, so happy to see a list that I worked on doing well here at the late night.
All right. So someone who sort of comes in as to an outsider to this deck, what are some of the tech cards that is there anything different in this variant of Rapid Strike box that you might not have normally seen in regionals past, or what are we cooking with here?
Yeah, so there's a big debate right now between Squawkabilly and Lumineon for Urshi players. I think Squawkabilly has become a little bit more popular because it helps you with your turn 1 basically no matter if you're going first or second, whereas Lumineon, you can't use it going first to fix your hand because you can't play the supporter that you get. But it has more like mid-game, end-game power to close out games. So there's kind of a debate going on there, but Kago playing the Squawkabilly version, which I like a lot because it means you can go first. And they're also playing Devolution, which all Urshifu are playing right now. And it doesn't matter in this matchup, but a really important card for Urshifu in general.
Yeah, I think as we move on here, as we're going to see the knockout here on the Entei, as we kind of move forward here in Paradox Rift, we're seeing Devolution is becoming, kind of coming up the tracks as a little bit more of a popular card. You see it, like you said, I've seen a couple of Charizard lists play it. I've seen a couple of Rapid Strike lists play it. I think that card is starting to see it's just desserts as a very very good tech card in certain matchups.
Yeah, totally. I think it basically makes the Zard matchup for Urshifu very, very favorable. And I think it's definitely a super powerful card, just not in this matchup, per se.
All right, Decorus is going to come down. We're going to get the boss, a Magma Basin, and the Double Turbo in hand here. So we got the Stadium bump, so no free retreat on Kago's side, as well as a gusting option for a future turn.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? you have no attacking options except to attack with Entei, and you're doing, 140 to this Inteleon maybe. Doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's kind of rough. So,
With the double
definitely.
turbo, you can attack with the Radiant Zard at least, so maybe that's the best option here.
Yeah, looks like that's what we're lining up for here. Get the 230 from Combustion Blast. And again, just going to soften up that VMAX. And again, if you're going to, you don't have to risk putting up anything juicy into the active here. So you're at least going to be able to keep up in a prize race.
I would have liked to see the Forest Seal Stone be attached to the Entei. This turn, we are playing in an open decklist format, and this Urshifu list has no Vacuum and no Gust. So if you do put the Seal Stone down, it is completely safe. But if you don't put it down, it can get Iono'd away.
Yeah, definitely a tough call right there. Energy retrieval coming down. Going to grab a water energy out of there. And again, just going to send it right back with that double gunner. Going to hit the bench for a little bit of damage here.
We'll see if this damage gets converted on later. Setting up damage on Squawkabilly makes a lot of sense if we can get Urshifu down and use that G-Max Rapid Flow.
And just kind of waiting out. See what we got in tow here. Again, we still have access to that Octillery Rapid Strike Search. To maybe bump that stadium, get back into the Rapid Strike energy. Again, one of the best consistency cards in this deck, of course. Once we're able to get it, able to get it off the ground, so
it can get you so many different pieces that you need. It can get you the Pokemon you need. It can get you Rapid Strike energy, but I think something that's really important is that it can get you supporter. Corinna's Focus, not the best supporter in the world, but the fact that you have access to it is pretty important.
All right, instead we're going to see the research come down here, see a fresh 7, and then go into the Rapid Strike Search. Going to grab the Tower of Waters, allow that free retreat. Taking a peep at the discard pile. Curious what else we have in the hand here.
I'm trying to picture the prize map here for our Entei Valiant player. I'm not really sure what it looks like. You can't really knock out this active Intel VMAX with enough pings because it would need, I think, 5 because it's 70 damage away. So it would need 4. So that's most likely not happening. We can potentially boss up something here, but I don't know. It's tough getting these 5 prizes. You can take 3 more easily, but I don't know where the other 2 are going to come from.
Yeah, especially because I think that's the very obvious flaw in this deck is that your main attacker is Entei, and and so if your opponent wises up to that, you're just never going to put down a full bench so that you're never swinging for max power as it is anyway. So when being forced to attack with a turn 2 Radiant Zard, while it's cute, you might be able to knock out some smaller stuff like that. In a matchup like this, like I said, it's definitely less than desirable. So we'll see what we're gonna get here. So we're gonna immediately retreat out of the active, gonna kind of throw some more damage counters down with Tachyon Bits, maybe for a Seal Stone for another consistency card or something.
It was nice to be able to Radiant Zard early with that double turbo combo, but this deck has no way to put Pokemon back into the deck with something like a Super Rod or anything like that, so that's the last time the Radiant Zard is going to be used. Is there enough damage to close out the game? I think it has to be something along the lines of put enough damage counters on the benched Intel VMAX for the knockout with Tachyon Bits, and then maybe something like Boss's Orders up the baby Urshifu, but even that, you're not doing enough damage to knock out here.
Yeah, it's tough stuff for sure. Let's see what we're going to grab with the Forest Sealed Stone to start Alchemy being popped. Maybe eyeing down that Professor's Research to see more cards, as Boss's Order really isn't going to do you much good here. Looks like that's what we're going to potentially go for.
Yeah, Iono, which would normally be a win condition against some decks, not really one this turn in this matchup because the Octillery can just grab you an energy if you need it. And you might not even need it because you have an energy already attached to the active, so we're just going to watch and see if this research can get to the pieces that we need. And I don't think so. I don't even think we have an attack this turn, actually.
Yeah, no. Listen, we got 3 stadiums in the discard pile already, so let's grab the. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so there's only one more Magma Basin left in the deck, for Bee Swarm. So you're only gonna have with one stadium bump left, and with the ability with the threatening power of Octillery, just being able to bump that with no thought whatsoever. It really kind of makes you think twice about whether or not you want to pop it or not. So it's like, all right, do you maybe play a more conservative turn? Maybe throw out the full health Valiant and maybe try to tank another hit for a turn, or see what your options are. But like you said, the prize mapping looks very, very awkward here for Bee Swarm.
I feel slightly bad for suggesting this matchup because I think it might not be that favorable or that even. But I am glad that we are getting to feature the Entei Valiant deck. I haven't been able to cast an Entei Valiant match yet here at Late Night, so interesting to see if they can come back in this match and if they can come back at all in the set.
Variety is the spice of life, Vic. And there we go. We're going to see a pass here. The escape rope going to force up the Octillery, so it's going to force Kago to burn a recovery resource or a Rapid Strike energy to get back out. The smart thing, stall any active of the Pokemon with a heavier retreat cost, and see if you can buy yourself a turn here.
Something that's really cool though about Rapid Strike Octillery is that it also benefits from the Tower of Waters, thankfully.
Oh, that's true.
So we are going to be able to retreat for free, thankfully, because the stadium was not bumped.
And if you're Bee Swarm, you're probably like, oh, well, that's whoops.
Yeah, I think this Octillery was brought up by Escape Rope.
Yes.
So the Escape Rope not really contributing too much, and the fact that you didn't get an attack off at all this turn will make it tough. Now we are staring down the barrel of a G-Max Rapid Flow potentially in 2 turns, or even maybe this turn if there's a Melanie. And 1 Rapid Flow will end the game.
Yeah, that could possibly be what we are digging for here, as we again getting more double gunner damage down now. So both of those, are like you said, they're very much in the market here for the G-Max Rapid Flow. So you're searching here for what I would imagine to be the Rapid Strike energy.
We attach the water energy to the Urshi VMAX, so maybe this turn you just Karinas for a couple cards and then retreat into the Inteleon VMAX. I don't think they have Melanie in hand, or else game would have been secured here. So maybe just Karinas, or you can just grab the Rapid Strike energy for next turn. I think either you can really do no wrong with this selection.
Just kind of weighing out the option. You're just going to grab another Inteleon here.
Yeah, I think the best case scenario for Entei Valiant is to be able to punish Remoraid on that first turn. It only has 60 HP. It can get Yoga Looped. Unfortunately for Bee Swarm, just did not have the hand to be able to punish that.
All right, 140 on the active Iron Valiant. That's going to, again, set up, Kago for checkmate on the next turn. And let's see if Bee Swarm can possibly get something going here. Like you said, we're 1 ping damage away from being able to get 3 prize cards off of the the damaged Inteleon here. But like you said, that's where are those next 2 prize cards coming from?
This deck really great at taking advantage of low HP Pokemon. So in the Gardevoir matchup, for example, you can kind of feast on some prizes, maybe even get some Yoga Loops off on Kirlias. But in this matchup, there's nothing like that to really take advantage of. The closest thing is the Remoraid, but that's not on the bench anymore, so you're just going to have to get through these really beefy VMAXs, and this deck is not built to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, like you said, if the baby Urshifu was still on deck, you might have a chance here, but, the VMAX just completely takes that option away here, and And Okego wisely is not going to put something on the bench that could be potentially knocked out by an Entei here. So, we're mostly just going to have to take those 2 cards. There's going to be no energy left in the deck here off the Earthen Vessel. We do have that 1 copy of Magma Basin still left there to possibly bump the stadium, but like I said, looks like it might be all but written here for Keigo. I'm gonna get rid of.
Does mean that if there's no Tower of Waters left, or maybe it's prized or something, maybe this Inteleon VMAX gets stuck.
Yeah, at this point, you just kind of have to start throwing things at the wall and, hope that they stick. And only 3 Towers of Waters in the deck, so...
That is true.
I lost track of how many were actually played so far.
At least 2, but
at least 2 have been played. I don't know if the third one's come down yet. So that could potentially make things tricky.
We'll see. But even so, I think if this Inteleon VMAX is stuck in the active, you don't have a tower, you don't have a Turo to work with, you can just attack with Inteleon VMAX, and I'm not sure that Entei Valiant has the resources to follow this up with 1 more attack to finish off the game. We'll see. But this is a potential win condition. It's not over just yet until we see this Tower of Water.
See ya. Well, that answers the question. Only 2 have been played so far. There we go. The Urshifu VMAX going to come up to the active, and Gmax Rapid Flow is looming. There it is. That's going to be 120 damage to 2 bench Pokemon here. And that is going to clean up this game here for Keigo.
I wonder, in a world where Entei didn't have weakness, or Magma Basin was not for fire types, it was for like water types or something. Maybe this matchup is a lot better. Maybe it's more even, but I think the Inteleon's water typing really putting in work that match.
Yeah, again, it's a great name for that deck, by the way. Yeah, no, just kind of some rough stuff there. Again, it's been, it's been sort of an okay time to be a fire type Pokemon as of recently. But unfortunately, there's still just water is just still way too good of an archetype right now. With how much support you have, whether it be if the Rapid Strike variant, or just being a water type Pokemon in general. Things like Irida and Melanie, still in the format. So, get used to why you still can, folks. We're because we don't know how much you don't know how much more time you have until they take it away from you. All right, just some updates for you guys along the rest of the match we got going on here. Looks like M-Clax is up 1 game on Nelson Guillen, as the rest of our matches are still in progress in Top Cut. Love the Zeraora coin. Big fan of that.
Zeraora, very cool.
Definitely a Pokemon that I forget, like, in the context of just Pokemon in general, exists sometimes. But,
yeah.
Cool, cool Pokemon.
Speaking of Zeraora, I tested a lot of Valiant nonsense for LAIC, and I never landed on a list that I thought was strong enough for me to want to play. But one of the things I was testing was Zeraora V, which is a really neat card that we do not see enough of. Is it that good? No, but it's really neat. It's really cool. Would recommend checking it out if you want a fun combo to follow up your yoga loops.
Very spicy. All right, we are going first here on the Valiant side of things, and any game where you can start with Battle VIP Pass, pretty good stuff. So you're gonna see this Guacamole come down here. You're gonna see what else we have to play around with. Definitely a very squawkable hand for sure.
I think going first makes a lot of sense in this matchup. You're basically forcing your opponent to never bench a Remoraid, or if they do, you're giving them a prize, which is sometimes okay, but sometimes not. And if you can keep those Remoraids off the board, I think that's quite important, because then you have Iono as a potential late game win condition, which, as we saw last game, with the Octillery in play, it really wasn't an option.
Right, for sure. All right, Tachyon Bit's going to come out here. Just drop a couple of 20 piece on the active Urshifu. We're going to see another 20 come down here. And the Squawkency's most likely coming through here hopefully after he attaches energy here.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting that we have to burn 3 switch cards here as the as the Entei Valiant player. Or actually, we're just going to burn 2 instead. But basically, you would have liked to hold on to those switch cards for next turn to try and punish that Remoraid like we were talking about. But you basically couldn't, because if you don't Squawk and Seize this turn, you will have a dead hand for the next turn unless you top deck something luckily. So I think this was the right play, although I think I would have liked to see attachment to Entei and maybe use that escape rope that got discarded.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's an energy you want on this card, I guess the fire is fine because you can theoretically get it back. But like I said, I would have liked to see the attachment there. Gonna get another Valiant off the Fleetfoot, so not bad at all. I guess if you wanted to put another 20 down, but not gonna be the case. Can leave that bench spot open. Gonna pass the buck back to Kago, and let's see what this first turn entails here for Urshifu. And there you go, the VIP pass. Love to see it.
If that rope was played instead of the DTE being attached, we could have seen attachment come down onto Entei, or even Nest Ball from Metacham attached come down onto Metacham. So now we're in a bit of a weird situation where we do need 2 switch cards to punish a Remoraid. Actually, it'll probably just be Boss's Orders, but no, even that, we need a Magma Basin. So the hand not looking so great anymore.
Yeah, kind of like it. You have like enough stuff to work with, but it's just like it's like you have a lot of random parts here. You're really gonna have to hope that you can top deck into something that can help you here. So I mean, you maybe have a Fleetfoot or 2 to maybe help you dig a little bit, but the deck doesn't have a lot of draw. It's gonna be a tough sell for sure.
You see VIP pass come down for 2 Inteleon. I think this might be a sign that we're going to go Remoraid-less this time around.
Yeah, there we go. We're going to see the Strafe come through for a clean 30. He's going to switch into the active with the Inteleon V. Like I said, I guess, maybe trying to, avoid getting pinged out here. We're going to go no Remoraid. The Fleetfoot going to get you a... Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like he drew into another Iron Valiant, and then top decked, and then drew into the Radiant Charizard. Yeah. That's rough.
There's no Remoraid, but there's no attack. So, unless we see something magic from this Fleet-footed.
Ooh, okay. Just gonna go for more Tachyon Bits here.
Yeah, I'm not even going for the Fleet-footed. I'm just going to sit back.
Contemplate the Nest Ball. Let's see what we're going to grab here. Really nothing that can help out here in the current state. Yep, there you go. Just going to pass the buck back to Kago. Let's see what we're going to have on display here. There you go. The evolution coming through here to the Inteleon VMAX. So we now have double gunner on deck here. Discard water energy for 20 damage to 2 bench Pokemon.
We are quickly getting into rapid flow territory. Rapid flow potentially being able to take 4 prizes in 1 turn. I think that might be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, that's definitely less than ideal if you're if you're B Swarm. But again, if you're Kago, you're just doing what the deck wants you to do. So we love to see it.
I will say though that Kago only has 4 cards in hand, no auxiliary in play, so it will come down to top decks. It will come down to how well they draw. The matchup in general is still Urshi favored, but this game I like the position a lot more, even though we misattacked, even though there was no threat of an attack last turn. Just not having artillery is a big game changer, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, it really leaves your board. You know, it gives you options. Again, it's one less bench Pokemon to put down. So, you know, Burning Rondo's hitting for less damage, and you know, it's still you know, it's less. It really messes up your opponent's gameplay, like you said. They really want to feast on those smaller Pokemon, but going to be able to get the knockout anyway here. So able to piecemeal together an attack here is beast form. We're going to grab a couple prize cards here for it. So, you know, one step down, only 4 more prize cards to go.
I have to wonder if that was actually the best play, though, because it's definitely enticing to take your 2 prizes there and make sure Rapid Flow doesn't happen. And I think it's the safer play, because if your opponent has Urshi VMAX energy, there is just like way too much damage to deal with. But you could make an argument that like, hey, they only have 4 cards in hand, maybe they don't have it. I'm just going to smack this Inteleon VMAX and try to 2-shot it, because now that you've dealt with the Urshi, now you have to stare down a full HP Inteleon VMAX, and that's also annoying in its own right.
Yeah, and again, a Pokemon that can hit you for weakness as well. So,
right.
You know, the prize trade could easily be swung back in their favor. So I guess the Ultra Ball come through here, most likely to grab the second VMAX coming through.
I think so. Our Rapid Strike player is going to make that prize map difficult. Or maybe we're just going to get Urshi and then try to Rapid Flow. Try to set up another Rapid Flow instead.
Yeah, G-Max Spiral is going to connect here for 280 damage. So, not a bad call. I guess, like you said, set up the Rapid Flow for the next turn. You're going to get the knockout regardless. So, even on prize cards, once again, let's see what the promotion is going to be here. It's going to potentially be the Entei. Definitely weighing over the options here. Do you start with attacking on bits? But, you know, no switching options in sight. You don't want to get stuck in the active. So, Magma Basin coming through here, so the possibility of a attack is it's doable depending on what your top deck is, but yeah, with things like Horus and Research, you know, definitely enough to dig here, but whiff on the energy. Oof.
No energy. Down to the fleet-footed.
Oh, tough.
So with no attack coming through, and you do know that the Rapid Strike energy is in hand thanks to that effect of the G-Max Spiral, I think you have to send up something like maybe a full HP Valiant at this point. And it's just going to get hit for 140, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's most likely what we're looking at here. You know, the hand is really not doing any favors. Attacking on it's going to come through. It's going to, you know... Looks like Kazaman just throwing 20 on the active right there.
Maybe thinking about getting enough damage so that Radiant Charizard can come in and take a knockout. I think that's a reasonable play here. Not this turn, I mean, but setting up a knockout for
sure. Yeah, right. I can attach a future booster capsule there. This is also the first time I've noticed that little like that like cyber mystic effect when you hover over the future card like that. That's really cool. Love little touches of detail like that.
So we do know Rapid Strike energy is in hand. The 140 here, not that important. So, and we saw the Urshifu bench last turn, so it's even possible that we don't get an attack from OK Go and we just set up Rapid Flow, because that can be game winning potentially if you combine it with a Double Gunner or a Radiant Alakazam. Kind of depends on what they have access to in their hand, I think.
Right, again, operating with a small hand size, you know, for the majority of this game. And again, I would imagine it would like look kind of clunky, not, you know, this playing this deck without the Octillery, but it looks like, you know, Keiko's been able to get everything they needed so far.
It is a little clunky for sure, but it does get there. It does help that once you set up a VMAX, you know, like an Inteleon VMAX, you don't need anything extra to keep attacking. You can just keep using that G-Max Spiral over and over again. I think that helps a lot. taking prizes also probably the draw engine of choice for this match, which is funny to say.
All right, do you see the Remoraid aforementioned? Do come down here, and the Clara going to recycle some Pokemon and energy back into the deck here.
So we know that there is a Rapid Strike energy in hand. We know Clara grabs a water energy. So I do think that means Rapid Flow next turn would work. But instead, we're going to see a double Gunner. So I'm not sure where this play is going. But I think it would have been cool to see just an attachment to the Urshifu, potentially.
Yeah, I think it could be a case of Kago kind of recognizing that they have the high ground here. There isn't much that can be done here on B Swarm's side. And that Lost Vacuum again, not going to do you much favor. So you maybe you maybe just throw the hand away. So you see another fresh 7 with research, or again, just kind of a tough call here. A hand disruption card probably would have been nice, but fortunately not nowhere to be found. Not nowhere to be found here, unless maybe off the top rope with a Fleetfoot.
If you can attack with Radiant Zard this turn, put the Inteleon at 310 and take a knockout on Remoraid, I think you're actually in a good spot. But whether or not we can do that this turn, I'm not sure. We see the switch into Squawkabilly, which I'm a little bit confused about, to be honest.
You're going to research the hand away again.
I guess just hoping for the switch cart. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked to play this a little bit more aggressively, though, because you do know that Octillery is one of the cards in hand that was grabbed off that Clara, if I'm not mistaken. So if you switch into Valiant right away, that's one less switch card that you need, even though you might whiff on the healing.
A retreat coming out. Potentially going back in with the unused, the unused Tachyon bits. Yeah, okay, it's going to come down on the Remoraid, so you're going to at least be able to get a prize card here. But is it too little, too late?
Yeah, I think the play of switching in the Squawk, I'm not sure I like that, because even if you draw into a switch card, as long as you get another switch, you can still pull off that play. You don't need to commit to the Squawk that early before researching your hand away. And you are, I think, one piece away from attacking with the Radiant Zard this turn. You need to Seal Stone for something like an energy and a switch, but you can't get both at the same time. So unfortunately, there is not going to be an attack this turn, which I think is a big detriment. I think makes the match a little bit harder than it needed to be.
All right, the Star Alchemy going to come through here to maybe get the piece that you're missing, but not much left in the deck. I'm curious what the dig's going to be here for.
Oh, there's a Jet Energy. Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
I didn't realize that there was a Jet Energy in the deck. So you can attack this turn, and I think it makes a lot of sense too, actually, if you grab that Jet Energy and put this Inteleon VMAX at 310. Yes, your opponent could potentially whip out the Turo, but I think you just have to hope for it. And I think it's a pretty winning game plan. They only have 2 cards in hand, so it's pretty reasonable to go for it.
All right, gotta grab the switch cart here. They're just gonna end the turn with the Squawkabilly in the active.
So this play also has some logic to it, some rhyme and reason. The Squawkabilly is resistant to fighting, so it makes Rapid Flow a little bit less attractive of an option. But luckily for Kago, they do have a research, so they will get to play the game this turn.
Yeah, I don't know if that was in the hand already or off the top deck, but regardless, great time to see that card. Could see this ball come down here. We get another big basic down on the field. No, it's going to be ready out. Alexander maybe to move some of this damage around.
Maybe benching the Remoraid was a little bit too optimistic from Kago, because now the prize map is looking a lot better than it was previously, you just have to get through this one Inteleon with your Radiant Zard, and there's a boss's orders in hand, so if we don't see a retreat, I think this Inteleon could be in danger depending on the top deck.
Here we got a Radiant Zard coming through here. You gonna escape rope out into the Urshifu. So, like you mentioned, oh, the emote coming through. That's usually the PTCGL sign of all right, you got me.
Right. Yeah.
The aforementioned, the modern day white flag on on online gaming. So
I will say what I didn't notice from this list, that Urshifu list, is that they are playing Escape Rope over second current as that Rohul played. So it is the same 59, not the same 60, and that Escape Rope actually coming in really clutch to close out this game here.
Yeah, excellent stuff right there. There you go. The rest of the prize cards have been taken. That is going to be Kago coming out on top there. So excellent stuff to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, not the matchup our Entei Valiant player wanted to hit, but I'm glad we got to showcase it. And that last match was honestly pretty close, since there was no artillery in play.
All right, then looks like we might actually have another game in progress right now, because our second round, one of our top four matches looks like it's going on. So let's hop on into there and see what we got going on. Okay, it's us again. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back. We are an update for you guys here on Top Cut. Liam and Ethan are still going on. Looks like Liam is up one game on Ethan K. One of that's going to go up against Kago. M-Clax took it out over Nelson. Moe Huck took it out over Meowscarada, the player, not the deck. For those of you who are just tuning in now. So, yeah, so good stuff on Moe Hawk's side. You go from one Lost Tina list back into another Lost Tina list. So, again, another format coming through here, Vic, while we got some time here to talk. It looks like another format where Lost Tina, talked about a lot. Is this another case of Tina being the bridesmaid and not the brides this format, or is this deck actually like the sleeper best deck in the format like everybody keeps saying it is?
I'm not a huge fan of Tina personally, but I also do respect it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's terrible or anything like that. It's not my favorite deck, but I think it's certainly worth taking a look at. And one reason it is fairly reasonable right now is because it has probably the best built-in Snorlax matchup in the game. You don't have to tech for it or anything like that. You have Tread, which is such a good attack into the basics that Snorlax likes to play. You have plenty of switch cards. You have Jet Energy, which can't get Misfortune Sistered, and we did see M-Clox 99 actually taking the win over our Snorlax player in top 8 over Nelson. Shout out to Nelson, by the way. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is a Seattle local, so shout out to the Seattle squad.
Yeah, we love to see it. And again, and Snorlax stall coming off the top rope as well. It's really it's really forced people to get kind of creative with some of the cards they put back in their deck list. It looks like everybody's including a switch card, something to maybe pick your Pokemon out of the active. I'm sure the cost of mini rare cards have gone up significantly. It's a card that I'm sure a lot of people disregarded when the set came out as a cool looking art rare you can pull, but now is it's like no. You got to bring that thing with you, man. It's like what Spiritomb should have been when they printed Spiritomb. It feels like in some cases.
Yeah, bring Minior just in case. In case you feel.
You can never be too careful. That's the way that I look at it. But yeah, again, just kind of looking at the meta, sure. While we got some time to talk about it as well. Snorlax coming in at. Near the top of the pack, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8th most popular deck tonight was Snorlax Stall, with 12 people entering with the deck itself. Charizard obviously rounded out the top here with Lost Zone Tina, Lost Zone box in general, followed by Rapid Strike, Miraidon, Gardevoir, and Mew, who still refuses to go away. So, like I said, what's been a very diverse format so far continues to be very diverse with the amount of decks we got coming out here.
Rapid Strike Urshifu almost never breaks that 5% meta share, but here tonight, I think the hype is starting to build up for the deck. It's at 8% meta share. It's higher than Miraidon, higher than Gardevoir, higher than New Genesect, which is I've never seen it before, and it's in a really good place in the meta. It basically beats everything else that's in that top 6 that you're mentioning. It's favorable to Zard, Lost Tina, Lost Box, Miraidon, Gardevoir, but it does take hard L's to the next 2 decks on the list, Mew and Snorlax. So would recommend if you're willing to play a deck that has very favorable matchups across the board, but a couple auto losses.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite decks as a spectator to watch, just because the intricacies that you have to play around. I just think the Rapid Strike as an archetype was very, very cool, and it's going to be it's going to be sad to put those cards in the binder, whenever that day comes along. But a mulligan on the side of MClax right there. So we're going to get into it here, folks. Your Lost Zone Mirror, and oof, that's a that's a Pokemon card.
Oh no. So we can tell that it is Tina based off the HP and the typing, but
yeah,
it's slightly annoying that we cannot see the picture.
She's tired. She doesn't want to come out right now. So
yeah.
Again, pretty standard start here. Now again, Cramorant probably a less than ideal start, but I don't think you're going to be in any God forbid you're going to be in any real danger here.
I've never seen this special condition before.
Shyness. All right, already looks like it might be a tough decision here off the flower selecting. Oh, there we go.
Avery?
Tina's decided to join us.
Oh, let's go. Avery is a really interesting card in this deck. I don't think I've ever seen Avery in Lost Tina, but I think it makes sense. I think it's mostly for the Gardevoir matchup, because that way they can't put down Jirachi and Manaphy and their Curlias all at the same time. You can kind of punish them if they do. So I could see the argument for it, but it is hard to find when you need it, I think, in this deck.
Yeah, only 8 supporters in the deck for MClax. The Avery being a one of, as well as an Iono, a couple of Roxanne, and from some choruses. So some pretty for the most part, pretty standard Lost Tina stuff here. But we'll see what this first turn entails here for Mohawk. Again, the Battle VIP Pass is a great way to start. In most matchups, that what a card pulls. We're gonna see a second Tina and the Comfy come through here. So hopefully we're gonna get to select some cards. Ooh, Mohawk play with the mystery with the mystery deck.
I think we're teasing the introduction of trap cards. Pokemon TCG.
He's playing with a closed deck list.
Okay.
There you go. Shout out to the Lost Origin promo Comfies. I feel like criminally slept on as a really nice card for Lost Box.
I've played Lost Box to, I think, like 8 major events, at least 6 major events at this point. I've never played one of these Comfies in my deck ever.
Because I love the full art ones that came out at Crown Zenith, like the ones that I infamously say look like a rap album. Like, I just think it looks so funny. Those are personally my favorite ones to use, but I like the I like the stamp. I know there's some people that like the promo stamps.
Yeah.
So, all right, and Abyss Seeking looks like it's going to be the choice here. So getting some cards in a Lost Zone. So it says double energy off. Oh, never mind. That was just for concealed cards. Never mind. Yeah, I was gonna say if that was a flower selected. That's tough.
I think we're watching basically the biggest reason I don't like this deck very much in terms of like wanting to play it. Both decks are just kind of slow and just kind of wait and sit there. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw Abyss Seeking the previous turn from Moe, and we're probably going to see Abyss Seeking again this turn, and both players just not doing anything for the first couple turns. It doesn't remind me of a powerful deck, but
Yeah.
it's good into the meta.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of people might kind of like fall for the smoke and mirrors with this deck is that like you see so many lost box variants, like you've played it a fistful of times. I've played against it numerous times. I think we all get used to like how fast this deck can go. The turn 2 Mirage Gate, getting 7 in the Lost Zone. However you want to go about it, that when you play the Tina variant, you expect it to go that quick. You're just like, oh, turn 2, I'm going to be able to get off, I'm going to, be able to get off 280 and just start blowing things up. It's just, but the deck takes a little bit more finesse than that, and I think people, kind of get lost in their own sauce sometimes. They're just like, let's kind of take it down a notch and, kind of play the slogan. Because once you get there, you're hitting numbers that other decks, really can't hit, and I really wish I knew what one of the lost them right there, because it's even funnier when we don't know.
It's a mystery. Imagine if that was a mechanic. You have to prize check or like lost zone check your deck every time you search for it.
Oh my god, that would be crazy. That's like extreme lost box. Like if I sit down next to a guy and he's not even like looking at if he's not even looking at the cards he's putting in the lost zone, I'm folding. Like I'm immediately scooping and going to game. I'm taking the L.
There are some interesting differences between these two lists. MClax with the Avery and also playing 3 water, whereas Moe playing a more consistent, straightforward Tina, no Avery and no water, just Psychic and Grass, which you do lose out on that, on the power of the Moonlight Shuriken as an option, but it does make your lost zone decisions a lot easier, not having to worry about your energy as a resource.
Right, for sure. Do you imagine that the waters are in there? Like I imagine those are in there for just like situations like this, like the Lost Zone Mirror. You can maybe just like cheese a couple of prize cards.
Yeah, I think it totally can matter in this matchup in the mirror. It doesn't look like it's going to matter yet, as far as we can tell. There's only one comfy, so this Moonlight Shuriken doesn't have that much value. But maybe the fact that it's a threat at all meant that there's only one comfy, that I'm not sure of. But it definitely can matter, maybe not so much this game in particular.
All right, see a huge hand here for MClax. So the chorus going to come down once again. And again, just a whole lot of, it's a whole lot of stuff. No V-stars in sight just yet, but, gonna grab what looks like, what I imagine are the essentials here. Again, Path to the Peak doesn't really do much. It slows down your Greninja, but that's, pretty irrelevant when your hands are massive. So
I also think both players play 0 bumps to Path to the Peak, so this one is just going to be stuck there forever. And
we're just gonna get lost in the woods for a few hours.
Yeah. So Path to the Peak, a really useless card right now.
All right, looks like this second Tina coming down here.
I don't think there's an attack at all this turn. Oh, we can shred, I guess. I think if the shred is the attack of choice.
Yeah, I guess to at least get that Cramorant out of there. Looks like we're going to Super Rod back in some stuff though. So Grass and a couple Psychics. Again, obviously, the primary energy you need to power up the Giratina. So pretty easy pickings there.
I guess you could also, instead of Shred, you could also Moonlight Shuriken and maybe put 90 on the bench Tina V-Star and clean it up later. That's also an option, but we'll see if that's the choice. Oh, I guess you can't because it's only one gate, so you can only grab 1 water. So I think Shred will have to be the attack here.
All right, there we go. The jet, look, Lumen on that jet energy here. Like I said, looks like Shred is going to be the move of choice here.
And this puts the game in a really interesting position because, oh, we're going to Shred and bring up a Tina, actually. So attacking with this Tina V does mean that your opponent can knock it out with 280 with that lost impact. But that also puts Moe at 3 prizes, which you really don't want to be at. You'd rather stay at 4 and then take a bunch at once with Sableye or something like that. Because of the Roxanne, you don't want to get played down to no cards in hand this early. We'll see if there's a knockout here or if we actually just maybe hit with Cram or hit with Sableye or something like that.
There you go, another Tina coming through here. Love that art, by the way. One of my favorite arts on a card in the standard format.
It's quite expensive, right? In real life, that card?
I believe it is. Yeah, let's take a call here. Chat, let us know at home. How much do you think that art rare Tina V Star costs?
I think we are just going to see a knockout here, and like we were talking about before, this is both good and bad from the side of Moe, because Roxanne will be enabled. I mean, going down to 3 prizes, 2-6 probably is still favored, but there's still certainly a win condition to go with here.
For those of you wondering at home, by the way, a near mint alternate full art of this card from Lost Origins is $279.99.
I would not recommend you play that to a regional.
No. I see people with cards like I see people with like the expensive cards in their deck sometimes, and I'm just like, all right, somebody has a limited PTO and and didn't have to struggle to pay rent this month. But I digress.
I have played against a Moonbreon in a regional.
Oh my! That's disposable income. That's trust fund money. Like that person came from money, and they it's fine. Good for them. I have a Moonbreon story I'll share after the set, by the way. Okay. We gonna see the Colress come down here. Gonna grab the Roxanne. And yet still no V stars in sight. There's 14 cards left in the deck. And then not a single Giratina V star has come through yet.
So Roxanne was not played this turn, so Moe going to live another day with that 6-card hand. Hopefully has a response to this Sableye somewhere, somehow. The damage spread between 2 Giratinas right now. I think we're just going to take a knockout onto that bent Giratina V. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Guarantee yourself to knock out here and then just continue to soften up the wall in front of you, with one energy on. Or nope, just going to soften up the Comfy instead. Again, with one energy on the Tina V Star, unless you assuming the Mirage Gate's in hand, you should hopefully be okay for a turn here, but we'll see what we get here.
For players that are not as familiar with the Lost Box deck, Sableye math is all about that damage efficiency, and we see a good use of damage efficiency right there, taking a knockout onto a Giratina V before it evolves up, so you're able to prevent its health from going up and making it harder to take down. Like, if you imagine Sableye, if it only did 120 damage to the active, Sableye would be really bad. So
it would be such a bad card.
Yeah, it would be pretty awful. So it's all about getting that damage efficiency, making sure the damage is placed in the right places, and we see a good example of that past turn.
If that was the case, I would have saved so many hours of my life having those conversations of this deck loses to Sableye. Like, if that is
true.
I've wasted so many man hours of my time, but does it beat Sableye?
Maybe in that parallel universe, Zorobox is thriving.
United Wings is the best deck in the format. Everybody,
Yeah,
exactly. insert the perfect society meme here. All right, we're gonna see the evolution come down here on the other Tina V Star. That gold art looks funny. I'm not quite a fan of that. Spit innocently going to get the free knockout on the Comfy here. So again, just continuing to peck away here is Mohawk. So now you've set yourself up for. I did not check. I have not checked the loss on. I'm assuming there's enough in there for a Star Requiem potentially.
It's gonna come down to Roxanne, I think. Roxanne and Prey.
Good. Thinking about what the strat is going to be here. Going to attach the grass energy to the other Giratina V. And just kind of taking a look at the resources here. 4 energies in the discard pile.
There's a couple different things you can do here. You can knock out the Cramorant because it is threatening your Sableye. You can countercatcher up the Giratina V-Star and then Roxanne and then knock out the Cramorant or the Comfy. Either one makes a lot of sense. But even though we're 2 prizes behind here, I think the win condition is still quite reasonable for M-Clocks.
All right, here we go. The Roxanne coming through here, and now comes the Prey. Oh, we get the Mirage Gate, so that's good.
Maybe set up a Radiant Greninja play. I like this a lot. I think this makes sense. And now you can set up your damage. Oh, we're just going to attach the Giratina V instead. I think that also makes sense. I wonder if there was something you could have done with some Moonlight Shuriken shenanigans, but maybe the damage is not quite there.
Yep, so we're just going to Lost Mine 40 on the Comfy, possibly? No? All right, gonna take the knockout on the Cramorant. Again, it's gonna leave this V-Star stranded in the active here. So let's see if the Roxanne was enough here to slow down Mohawk for potential late game surge here.
Not that many cards to work with, but the deck is also fairly thin at this point.
All right,
Does countercatcher Roxanne win the game?
The plot thickens. Oh, reverse Roxanne.
Ooh. Okay, we have a game.
All right.
Oh,
With the optimal Roxanne art, by the way, that's one of my that might be my favorite card art in standard right now. That card looks so clean.
this Tina is blinged out for sure. But with the pass, we might just see Roxanne into Roxanne into Roxanne, and with that, I think the advantage is going to go to M-Clocks now.
Yeah, I think so. Looks like we're going to see the Lost Mine again.
I mean, we were talking about it before. This deck really slow, and it feels bad to play, but this is the redeeming factor for it, of course. It can do these crazy comebacks where you combine Countercatcher with Sableye, with Roxanne, and put yourself in these positions where your opponent can't really do anything. And maybe this Giratina V-Star, maybe there was a route where you didn't have to play this down, or maybe you didn't have to evolve it to maybe keep Abyss Seeking an option. But here we are, not an option anymore. And I think you're going to have to top deck really hard off of Roxanne, and just wasn't the case.
All right, there we go. And as the avatar says, I guess that's it. So it's going to be M-Clocks coming out in that first game there. So again, a real, a real slow burn, but, still some drama there at the end. The Roxanne and the Roxanne into Roxanne. Truly incredible stuff. So that's just an update for you guys. It looks like Liam and Ethan are knotted up at 1 still. So Kago still waiting the Raptors for that top 4 match. Guardy, baby.
The power of Guardy when there's no time limit.
Time is a construct.
Yeah.
Love the Lucario coin, by the way. Very underrated Pokemon coin, IMO.
Are you a coin or dice person, IRL?
I'm definitely a dice person for sure. Just because I trust my ability in rolling dice better than I do flipping a coin. Because sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm afraid I'm not going to get enough hang time on the coin. It's not going to flip enough times, and I don't want to have to get into that debate with my opponent at 10 in the morning.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Like
I also just roll. But if you're trying to, gain some advantage by tilting your opponent, sometimes flipping a coin could work.
I love a good frisbee coin. I think I think they're like a big frisbee coin is like an ability use marker. Like that's fun. All right, so just like that, we're gonna see a couple Tinas hit the ground here. We're off to the races as the path comes down. So Greninja's not even gonna get a chance to draw some cards here. Cora's gonna come through immediately, send some cards in the lost zone, and the VIP pass seems to always be there when you need it, Vic.
Always there when you need it. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but here from away, it's been true this set, I think.
Excuse me. The card reads that your opponent always gets it when you need it.
Oh,
you don't.
okay,
you don't.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah, I get it.
It's like
I get it.
you gotta read the. It's like the Mesogoes. You gotta really read the fine text on it to really get the proper ability name out. So
When I was talking before about Urshifu, not to bring up the dead topic, but that just reminded me that that's like a big reason why I like Squawkabilly so much over Luminion, because the deck has no way to draw VIP passes. So I don't really understand how the Luminion build can consistently go first, because you can't draw into them in any way.
yeah, exactly. Squawkabilly's hype. I slept on that card for a long time, and I'd like to apologize formally to Squawkabilly EX.
I should have invested in some Squawkabilly stonks. I knew it was going to be good. I don't know why I didn't buy up 10 Squawkabillies.
Yeah, I think I only have 2. No, I definitely traded one away. I have 1. Whoops. All right, nonetheless, here we are getting some action going here. M-Clax going turn 2 round here. Kind of an awkward hand. We're gonna see if this flower something kind of alleviates some of that backlog here. The Roxanne and the VIP pass not doing a whole lot.
I think action is a strong word for what's going on here. We are going to be seeing Abyss Seeking followed up by Abyss Seeking. But as we saw last game, whoever takes the first knockout doesn't necessarily mean you're the one ahead, because if you start going up on the prizes and you don't do the whole damage spread action where you take multiple knockouts at once, you are putting yourself in danger of Roxanne and Iono and counter catcher and whatnot. So both players playing it correctly.
All right, here we go. The 9-card hand here from Mohawk. Let's see what we're gonna get here. Colress coming down. Again, talking about card art that looks great. That art for Colress is fantastic. 10 out of 10.
I never play full art like anything. I'm not the one to talk about this. I always play I usually play base rarity.
You're a minimalist. It's fine.
I am.
I like the full arts for the character. Yeah, I like the full arts for the characters that I like. That's the way that I justify it.
Fair. Some people also do full art only supporters because it makes checking for supporters easier. I think that's made sense.
Yeah. That's usually how I go about it. And also, those cards are typically not that expensive. So
yeah,
unless it's Iono, in which I'll play my one copy, my one full art, and we're gonna just leave it at that because I ain't got bread like that.
So we're seeing Lost Impact Moe going with the lead yet again, and it's like we were talking about, it's sometimes dangerous to take a prize lead, but going down to 4 is not really a big issue because Roxanne is still not live. We might see Iono to 4 though, which actually is pretty impactful here. from 10 cards to 4, I think will make a big difference. We'll see if that actually ends up happening.
Kramer going to hit the bench here. You can see the Iona to kind of clear out some real estate here. That hand getting way too big on the other side there, so going to see a fresh 6 on MClack's side, and Mohawk going to see a new 4.
Yet another case of being the aggressor in this matchup, maybe coming back to bite you. I think the position looks great. You're cramming 110 into this Giratina V-Star. They only have 4 cards to work with. They have to have gate this turn. Even if they do, they're going to maybe lost zone some energy away, which is not what you want either.
So you go spin innocently for 110. Gonna soften up that Giratina V-Star. I do find it funny that Moe plays a gold and a rainbow version of Giratina V-Star. That's very funny.
Yeah, max rarity. Super max rarity.
Yeah, I do that with my Lugia deck. I have exactly 1 gold V-Star and 1 rainbow V-Star. So it's it makes submitting my deck list for regionals very annoying because like I don't want.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I don't, God forbid you play against that guy. He's like, actually, you put down, you have the base rarities, and it's like, you know what? It's fine.
Luckily, Moe drew into a Colress off that Iona to 4, so it's
Yes.
going to be able to
Huge
continue
stuff.
the pressure and keep on going. Mirage Gate happening now, attaching an energy to the Sableye maybe is indicating that we're going to Lost Mine this turn potentially, or we might even just see Cram. Not sure yet.
There you go, Sableye coming out into the fray here. We're going to see the Lost Mine come through here. Yeah, so we're going to just take the one Comfy with him and soften up the second one.
I actually do not like this play at all, unfortunately. And I could be wrong. I could get proven wrong. It could end up turning out for the better. But going down to 3 prizes is such a key breakpoint, such a key prize number to hit because you enable that insane comeback potential of the Roxanne.
Right, for sure.
I wonder if we would have been better off, like, just spreading damage and not taking a knockout. Maybe putting some damage on Comfy, maybe taking a knockout on... Oh, sorry, not taking a knockout. Maybe spreading damage on Tina, but not going to be the case, and we'll see if it gets punished at all. Thankfully, no Roxanne available, though, just yet.
Yeah, no, still going to have to dig a little bit more for that. Looks like it is just going to be possibly just a Cram right here. Going to evolve into the V-Star. That's like contemplating what to do here. Do you maybe bench a Sableye now? But no, it looks like we're just going to spit innocently here. Knock out the Sableye. They're going to get on the board here. So... and it's Path to the Peak. Nice.
Yes, the most impactful card in the mirror. Just kidding.
All right, got a couple of birds staring each other down in the active here. Pokegear's going to come through. Most likely going to be digging for a Colress. Who would have thunk? Also, for those of you paying attention at home, Ethan K took it out over Liam Halliburton. So it's going to be Ethan versus Kago on the other side of top 4.
It does work out, though, because... Oh, actually, Kago is Urshifu. I was going to say Entei Valiant should end the top 4 match pretty quick, but no, I think Urshifu versus Guardy actually still sometimes goes long. Not as long as Guardy versus Guardy, but we'll see if these two top 4 matches end up lining up.
Right.
So Moe able to set up the board just a little bit, not getting punished with the Roxanne just yet, is able to evolve up into the Giratina V-Stars. Attaches an energy as well. So I think they're in a better position as long as Roxanne doesn't come through here.
All right, energy off the top deck. Flower selecting. Gonna get a chorus. That's gonna be helpful at the very least. So.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to Chorus this turn, and then you have one final turn to Roxanne your opponent with maybe you include a counter catcher there as well. There's not enough damage on the board to take 2 prizes this turn for Moe with Sableye at least, so you're safe from that win condition. I believe, looking at the deck list, Moe does play 2 copies of Boss's Orders, so that could potentially end the game here, right here and right now. If you have a combination of Boss's Orders and Mirage Gate to take the 2 prizer on the bench, that Giratina V-Star could be something that we see this next turn.
All right, detachment coming down there. So we're going to retreat out. Sableye gonna come out and put in its community service, spread some damage around.
Mohawk from Paraguay their list is looking more at it. It is a more aggressive version of Tina. They do play 3 Pokegear, which I think does mean that their playstyle of just taking prizes, not really worrying too much about the Roxanne, I think it makes sense. I don't know if I agree with it still, but it makes more sense given their list. You are a little bit more resilient to Roxanne because you can draw into Pokegear, and we'll see if this strategy pays off and maybe even win them the game this turn if they have a combination of Boss's Orders and Mirage Gate.
Right, for sure. Mirage Gate coming through here, so that's huge stuff. Then only 2 prize cards to take here. Do you have the stones? Oh, mystery card.
I think it is.
Yeah, there we go. And I think there you go. The Star Requiem coming through. Be gone with you, foul beast.
1-1 now. The team is
All
going
right.
back and forth. One with the comeback strategy, one with the go fast strategy. We'll see if it plays out that way in our final match of our top 4.
Yeah, excellent stuff for sure. So, good. So again, we got 2 Tinas here. We got a Guardy and an Iron Valiant on the other side here. And yeah, Charizard was the most played deck today. No Charizard in sight.
I wonder, is Charizard Pidgeot and Charizard Barrel combined? It looks like it. It looks like it is.
Yeah.
Combined.
I don't say. Yeah, that's kind of been like. What's your take on B-Barrel Charizard versus what we've been seeing so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think so. Before LAIC, the people I was testing with, they were pretty set on Zard Barrel being the best, and then Godance came around and Robin Schultz, got top 8, and I believe someone else also top 4'd with Zard Pidgeot. And it was also very popular at LAIC too. I think there were quite a bit of high placements there. And it suddenly seems that Zard Pidgeot is, back in vogue and is better, and I think that's where my head is at too. But at least in the Seattle area, there's also been some hype around the Zard Barrel. No, I think it is. No, yes, it's Barrel. Zard Barrel Cramorant version, where they play 4 Colress and 2 Vacuum. And that, so I think my tier list might be on the bottom is typical Zard Barrel, and then Zard Pidgeot, and then maybe Zard Barrel Cram is tied. I'm not super sure, but they're close.
Yeah, it's very curious stuff, the evolution of Charizard, where like if people like didn't want to really, it obviously had like high meta shares, but wasn't top, day 2ing as well. And then all heck broke loose during Barcelona, where it was like 6 of the 8 top 8 decks, or whatever the number was. And now, you're seeing a lot of these trends where, like, some of them, it did really well in Gdansk, it did really well in Brisbane, it did okay at LAIC. But now you're starting to see these, like, inclusions of, like, the Pidgeot Vs coming back, the Rodon Vs coming to give you extra draw, so it's like the B-Barrel build's obviously coming out. Like, I've been testing this deck on the low for a couple, you know, for like a couple weeks now. And like even I'm running into these problems. Like, yeah, like, you know, do I like the Rotom instead of the Pidgeot? Do I want to try a barrel instead of this? You know, do I even have 4 Colrus's I can put in this deck to try to try the Cramorant? Like, the evolution of Charizard has been very interesting so far. So, you know, again, unfortunate it didn't get the conversion rate in the top cut today, but you know, still, it's definitely something that you cannot afford to sleep on.
Looks like 3 Zards did hit 6 and 2, which is outside of our top 8, but close. I think they're around top 16. And Zard is in a pretty good spot meta-wise. I mean, its worst matchup, I would say, is Chien-Pao Baxcalibur, and for some reason that I don't really fully understand, Chien-Pao has been on the decline. It was less than 1% of day 2 at Gdansk, I think, which is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, that's strange to me.
Today as well.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why that is. I mean, I don't know if it's like they're still trying to figure out how the whole Iron Hands of it all kind of works out in this deck, but like, yeah, you know, we saw at LASE that you know, Iron Hands is definitely a card worth including in your deck. You know, it really makes those smaller decks and evolution decks kind of more feasible for you. But it's like, I don't know. I'm definitely feel the same way about Chien-Pao. I guess it's like, you know, the hardest part of that deck is obviously setting up. So it's like, you know, maybe that's, I don't know if that's enough to scare people away from it. But, you know, a lot of those decks have those problems where you just have those hands and you just have nothing to play with. So, I don't know. That's hopefully in San Antonio that number, you know, grows a little bit.
I know at Sao Paulo, 3 out of 5 of the Azul group with Grant Chen, Caleb Gettimer, Grant Manley, and Chip Ritchie, they played Chien-Pao, and 3 of them made top 64, which is a pretty high conversion rate. But I don't think Europe seemed to like Chien-Pao, given how it didn't show up at Gdansk for some reason.
All right, nonetheless, here we're right back at it with the Lost Zone stuff. So, again, Path to the Peak again immediately coming down, so making Greninja a non-factor as a draw engine. So, and that card is going to stay there.
You see Flower selecting. There is the potential for a donk this turn.
Yeah, that's true. That could very much be in play here. I just instinctively clicked on a Lost Zone thinking that was going to do something for me, and yeah. Now I'm slightly embarrassed with myself.
Well, as Tina, you don't really expect your opponent to always have the Cram attack off, but here it is. I think this will be an anticlimactic end to our top 4.
No.
Moe taking their aggressive playstyle to the next level. And
wow.
Being so aggressive as they end the game in 1 turn.
You know, kind of like I just said, right? You know, the fear of the brick is what might keep people from playing certain decks, but you know, it doesn't matter how consistent you think your list is. Nobody is immune to the turn 1 brick, Victor. Yes. That's gonna be Moe Hawk pulling it from the clutches of defeat here. All right, so let's toss it back to the caster channel for a second while we see if we can maybe get because it doesn't look like the other match is streaming right now. So let's kick it back to us for a second. Hang tight for a second, folks. We're gonna kick it back to us, and then we'll talk it out. We'll talk it out what we just witnessed here. So hang tight.
Sounds good.
Hey, there you go. It's us. In case you forgot what we looked like, you know, I'm still Kyle. That's still Victor, and yeah, we just got one heck of a barn burner between the Lost Tina mirrors. So Lost Tina guaranteed at least 2nd place tonight. So again, could be the bridesmaid, could be the bride. You know, we'll see what what comes out on top here as we await the winner of Ethan and Kago. Maybe see if we can maybe get one of those guys to turn the computers on. But yeah, Lost Tina, like we mentioned, a deck that everybody seems to talk about every format. It's like, nah, you guys are sleeping on the Tina. But as we mentioned, it's like, is Tina's time? Is Tina's time coming? We'll soon to be determined.
It's really been. It's definitely the most. How do I want to say this? It's the deck that comes in and out of fashion the most, I feel like, out of all the meta decks. Like, even going back to NAIC last season, Henry Brand brought Tina with cross switchers, and people were like, maybe it's good. And then people started playing it, and then they took out the cross switchers, and some of them kept it. And then Pramawat top forward, I believe, with it at Worlds, and then it kind of died down, and then it came back, and then counter catchers are here, and now people are saying counter catchers saves the deck, and then it was hyped, but then it died down again for LAIC, and then now it's a little bit more popular because Snorlax is popular. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's definitely solid. It's definitely up there. At least a tier 2 deck, if not tier 1.5.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong going into a major, into a major regional playing Tina. Again, it's gonna be a long day, like most, and anybody that's able to play Lost Box for 9-15 rounds of over the course of a weekend, God bless you, because that's a lot of brain power. That's a lot of frontal lobe being used. But yeah, again, good stuff from OA Hawks moving into the finals. Speaking of regionals, while we got a little bit of downtime here, I hope everybody that was able to successfully sign up for Knoxville was able to do so in that first wave. I don't know if I'm going yet, so I took a fat nap when I got home. What about you, Vic? What's your 2024 shaping up to look like so far?
Yeah, same for me. I signed up for Knoxville. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going, but I hope to. San Antonio, I will not be going to. I'm actually having a minor surgery tomorrow, so hopefully that goes well. But it's supposed to be fine, so don't worry, chat. It'll be okay. And then I am going to Portland, though. Portland is my next regional, so I'm excited for that, to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch Portland. My first regional next year will be Charlotte. Portland falls on the same weekend as another work engagement I have, so I'm not going to be able to attend that. But I definitely plan on hitting the big ones next year. If Knoxville opens up registration again, I'll try to get in there for the second wave. But Charlotte for sure. Definitely going to make an effort to go to Orlando. Whenever that comes around. New Orleans is definitely a definite for me. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be a busy year, and I'm very, very excited. As we, the year's winding down. We're in a very, I feel like in a very healthy spot right now in the metagame, and looking at what's coming out in the next set coming out, we might be kind of playing in this format for a little bit. So
yeah,
as a competitor, if we're kind of like what we experienced with Silver Tempest, where that format kind of went on for a long time. How do you, how do you stay fresh? How do you keep yourself, I guess motivated is a word I'd use, but it's like, but how do you keep your brain in it, when you're going to be playing presumably a lot of the same decks, a lot of the same matchups for what feels like the next couple of months?
I think there's two main trains of thoughts when a format is long like this, and I think they're at different extremes, and some people fall somewhere on the spectrum, and the two extremes are, one is you play the best deck you can for the tournament, what you think will win the most games against matchup wise, and you just assume that you'll play every deck at the same level, at a very high level, like almost perfectly. And some elite testing groups, that's kind of their philosophy. I lean a little bit towards the other end of the spectrum, where I feel like when there's the same format, if you play a deck that is good for the whole format, you can kind of overcome any weaknesses of the deck a little bit by just being better at the deck and knowing it really well and being comfortable with it, not having to worry about maybe fatigue wearing you down, because you can play the deck with your eyes closed.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good school of thought to come from. And also, comparatively to Silver Tempest, it's not like, you're not playing 20, not one in every 4 decks you play is not going to be Lugia. So it's like, it's going to be a little bit, I'm sure, palatable for some people. I like sitting down and playing against the strange stuff. It makes me kind of have to use my brain a little bit more. I'm big on that. But as we're going into San Antonio. That's obviously the next major we have coming up next week. Is there a deck that you feel like that people aren't necessarily, we talked about Tina a little bit, the deck that's everyone seems to talk about as what comes back into fashion every now and then. Is there a deck that you feel like the people are sleeping on that might come back with some sort of some vengeance coming up next weekend that we might have kind of forgotten about?
I think Urshi is really good, but I wouldn't say people are sleeping on it anymore, given how, I mean, there's more Urshi than Miraidon and Guardy, right? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
tonight there was. That's nuts.
Yeah, that does not normally happen. So I wouldn't say people are sleeping on it, but it's treated me well in the past. The meta is good for it. I won a cup with it last weekend, and that's probably what I would be bringing to San Antonio. For underplayed or undervalued decks, maybe it's hard to say. I think part of me wants to say Mew, but on the other hand, Snorlax winning does mean that people have more of a reason to play Spiritomb.
Right.
Because Spiritomb also slows down Snorlax. Their main draw engine is Rotom. So maybe not so much. It's hard to tell for Mew.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mew up until I was again looking at how successful that Snorlax has been, how popular that's gonna be, for the people bringing that to regionals. Because I was looking at going into LAIC, and I'm just like, the decks that everybody thought that were going to be really good going into that weekend, like we mentioned Chen Pao, I imagine was going to be very popular. I thought Roaring Moon was going to be way popular than it actually ended up being. So I was looking at the meta share, and I'm just like, this could be a really, decent time for Mew to kind of flex its muscle again, one last time, before, it's ripped from our warm playable hands. But like you said, with the addition of Spiritomb, I guess that does bring back the flexibility of Fusion Mew, coming out to play again. So I don't know. It's definitely a tough call. I definitely say Chen Pao is definitely due for, another solid showing. It's at least it's been placing very well, outside of at LASC where it kind of fell off a cliff a little bit, but
Right.
and a Gdansk. But I still think that deck is really good. I started seeing the builds that play with the Iron Bundle in there, which I think is cute.
Yes.
So I'm a fan of that tech. It's a deck I've been playing on the low myself. So again, I like it. I'm excited to see. Like I said, there's so many options. I'm very very excited to see what comes from the meta here. But I think we got a little bit of time before our match is up here. So we're going to throw it to a break, folks. Yeah. Gardevoir. Stay with me, folks. Gardevoir. And shout outs Ethan and Kago. I'm sure we'll see how that matchup plays out here. But we do have at least one of our finals matches locked down. So we're going to throw it to a quick break for a bit. We'll be right back. Once we get everything else lined up with finals. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Pokemon TCG right after this break.
I don't know if anyone can stream finals actually, because obviously they're not streaming the top 4 match right now. I just sent some messages. End it. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say on stream actually, but it didn't come around to it. I have relevant life news that might be interesting to you. I'm moving to New York City in February, so I might see you around. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if I'm looking forward to this late night shenanigan, but it's okay. I'll live with it. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Kago says I can hop on for top 4 actually because they just finished game 1. Okay. Okay.
Welcome back, folks. You are not, it's still us. Don't worry. We're still here talking to you. We got game 1 finished of our top 4 match. We're going to have some stuff to stream for you guys here, thankfully. Kago ended up taking it over game 1 over Ethan here. So, Inteleon, Entei, Iron Valiant, still continuing to show its worth.
Yeah, I do think I recall the player that got top 16 at LAIC with Urshifu went 9-1.
Yeah, it's Urshifu. My bad.
Gardevoir.
Sorry. Wrong damage deck. My brain's all over the place. My
Urshifu
bad.
and Teleon.
Yes.
They both spread damage. Same difference. Anyways, Urshi and Teleon, the top 16 player at LAIC, Urshi and Teleon, went 9-1 in 10 best of 3s against Gardevoir, if I remember correctly at LAIC.
Oh my god.
I don't think the matchup is that favorable, but I do think it is favorable, and if the Gardevoir player like slips up even a little bit, it's really easy to punish that as Urshifu.
That's incredible. Have you ever had like a region like that where like you just play like this? I mean, like the same deck just like over and over again for like rounds at a time, to where it's just like you start to feel like you're being pranked. Like,
yeah, I remember for Worlds, this was the only tournament I bombed out of and like dropped completely. For Worlds, I played Lost Box and I cut my Drapion because I wasn't expecting that much Mew, and I did hit 2 Mew in the first 2 rounds. So that was unfortunate.
Oh no, that's tough. All right, so a mulligan on the side of Kago here, which would have been a gas hand otherwise.
Yeah.
You always play that. Like, I love that game where like you're drawing your cards and you see the 2 VIP pass within the first 7 cards, but no basics. You're just like, like it's like that feeling can go from like real good to real bad, like very quickly.
Yes, for sure.
But here we go, folks. Gardevoir versus Rapid Strike Box. Getting started here as Ethan gonna be going first here, dropping a Fog Crystal. So we're most likely gonna, I would imagine, see the Mew here if it's not prized. You know, the early turns for Gardevoir is very structured. You know, bench the Mysterious Tail Mew, retreat out of the active, try to fish for that VIP pass and go as wide as possible on the first turn.
Yeah, totally. I think, though, Urshifu, when you go second, you don't have as much pressure as you do going first. If you really pop off going first, you can even threaten like a turn to Yoga Loop and whatnot. Not going to be the case this time because of the fact that our Gardevoir player was able to choose to go first, but there is an option, there is an attacking option that is actually still quite good. If you find your Rapid Strike energy this turn, you can actually surf for 40 onto this Mew, which is really annoying for Gardevoir to deal with.
Yeah, that means that you cannot, that takes off, potential second embrace stuff later in the game.
Yeah.
So very nifty stuff. There you go.
Can't second embrace to it. It makes you can Yoga Loop it the next turn potentially.
Yes.
Off of a surf. So there's a lot of play there if that's the route that ends up happening. We did see the Vessel being discarded for this Ultra Ball, which is interesting. So the way the hand played out was that you didn't really have the resources to play both Vessel and Ultra Ball, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to play the research and both the research and the tower, that is.
Right.
I probably would have leaned towards playing the Vessel, actually, just to get some energy in the discard. I don't mind getting energy to this card because you do play 2 Clara, 2 Melanie, 2 Retrieval. But I think Ultra Ball also a solid option, having 3 Inteleons out here like this.
Yeah, definitely not a bad call. Also, given what the hand looks like now, you know, do you even need the VIP pass if you have, you know, the basics in hand to bench them? But, you know,
Yeah, this matchup is pretty tricky because there are things you want to threaten and you want to bench. Like, Radiant Alakazam is really useful in this matchup, setting up the Yoga Loop without having to expend the resources needed to double gunner. You don't need to evolve it up. You don't need to burn water energy every turn. That being said, though, if your opponent is stalling for time, boss's orders onto Radiant Alakazam is really annoying to deal with. So sometimes you don't even want to have to do that. And I think that ends up being the case here. And our Urshi player deciding not to bench the Radiant Alakazam in case their opponent has an early boss or something like that.
Yeah, definitely not a bad call here. And a good hand to play with, you know, as... you know, like we mentioned in our last matchup, devolution was not going to be much of a factor. In this matchup, though, definitely not the case as we are playing an evolution deck. So,
I think something that is key here in this matchup is that Ethan is not playing Cresselia, and I think that changes the matchup like extremely drastically, actually. Because with Cresselia, you can heal your Pokemon and prevent your opponent from setting up damage as they please. But without Cresselia in the list, what you can do is you can just put 80 damage on every single Gardevoir / Kirlia that exists, and then just knock them all out in one go with that devolution.
right, yeah, that's huge stuff for sure. Again, kind of an interesting list here. You know, we've been seeing the evolution of Gardevoir, you know, since this format came out. We're seeing less Zacian, less Cresselia, and more leaning on that Scream Tail. And, you know, in this case, even some counter catchers as well. So, we see also the one of Turo Scenario in here, as well as a way to get yourself out of the active. So, you know, definitely in a very different look of Gardevoir, but, you know, still able to perform very well as we see the Gardevoir EX already coming out here. So, you know, going to try to move some damage around, potentially to snipe, I would imagine, is the Remoraid here.
Yeah. I think this is a great play and a great potential win condition is, you know, as Gardevoir trying to keep his Octillery out of play and then maybe using some late game Ionos to your advantage. Unfortunately, though, for our Gardevoir player, there is no draw power to follow this up with. I believe that's just a Ralt on the bench there. So there's nothing... Yeah, there's no refinements. The hand size is pretty thin, so if Urshi has a response, which we know it does because of that Rapid Strike energy in hand, it could get dangerous pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely some some potential dangerous stuff coming through here. So we'll see the couple of VMAXs to play around with here. To force you also to grab whatever you might be missing in this hand.
We see our Urshi player taking a little bit of time to think about the situation. I think they are thinking about what to do here if they want to Seal Zone proactively to make a play happen. I totally see why they're taking so long to think, because taking prizes against Gardevoir is not necessarily what you want to do exactly. It does open them up to Iono you, which is really annoying to deal with. So you could maybe even not knock out the Scream Tail this turn potentially, but I probably would, but I think there's an argument that you don't necessarily need to.
Yeah, I can definitely see a scenario as to why you wouldn't want to. You know, you just kind of sit and, you know, see where the game plays out here. Star Alchemy going to come through here. Curious what the card's going to be.
Probably just research.
Yeah. You're going to see a fresh 7 cards here after that Raptor energy goes through.
I think this play makes sense. You are knocking out the Scream Tail. You know that they don't play Cresselia. You know that they only have 3 cards in hand. So if you bench this Remoraid and you take a knockout here, it is likely that your opponent can't respond to this. So I think it is a good play. You are able to find that double gunner as well, and you can even Vessel or Retrieval to do it again and set up even more damage. I think we're in a really strong position now, thanks to that research drawing into what we needed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to see the Vessel come through again. Guess what this card's gonna be. You're just gonna chuck that Tower of Waters. I was thinking it over. That's a tough call to make.
Yeah, all of these are really useful, unfortunately. It's hard to say which is the most useful. No energy left in deck, so this retrieval and these Claras are going to be very impactful moving forward.
Yeah, again, having one Rapid Strike energy attached and the 2 left in the deck, it's gonna be a tough road to navigate. But for the most part, you are in a pretty promising position right now, like you mentioned. So the hand is still very, very solid right now. Ways to get your resources back.
Something that is interesting here is that actually we could have seen Keigo take a knockout onto the Mew, and normally you actually don't want to because you kind of want to leave it open for you to Yoga Loop later. But this turn, maybe it was actually for the best if you did so, because now they are going to be able to Mysterious Tail, and they only have 3 cards in hand. So maybe it made sense to, even though it does put you at risk of getting Iono'd to a smaller hand size. I'm not quite sure, but it was a pretty close call either way, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, again, refinement coming through here. Gonna start drawing some cards here. Again, small hand, not much of a draw engine on board here. This could be one of those awkward Gardevoir turns. And granted, you already have the Guard EX set up, but like we mentioned, that Mew's stuck in the active here. Unless you see the Turo come through here to help you get out, or just manually attached. That definitely helps the cause as well. So. All right, going for the Mysterious Tail here. Going to grab the Ultra Ball. Definitely a very usable card. All right, and that last Ralt's coming down on the board right here. So let's see what we're going to switch out into. Yeah, looks like we're just going to swing with the Guard EX here. Going to embrace, for the Miracle. Yeah, Miracle Force. That's the move name.
The hand here for Urshi is not exactly where you want it to be. You have that devolution to play with, which is really nice, but the retrieval got put down to the bottom, the Alakazam got put down to the bottom. So I'm not sure what the play is. It might rely on this top deck here. Not quite what we needed. And the V-Star has already been used. So, this Gardevoir EX is in the active, it has 100 damage on it. Really what you want to be able to do is devolution, knock out the Gardevoir EX in the active, and the Corellia, and the Ralt all at once. But sadly, you don't have the energy to make that happen.
That is asking a lot.
Yeah. Not happening with this hand for sure.
I can just kind of wait over his options here. Gonna go for the evolution. Gonna take it every second to think about what to do here. I mean, I guess the benefit here is that at the end of it all, you do have a very damaged Guardi EX. So hoping, assuming that one of those 2 cards is in the Turo and you don't draw into it, you're at least going to give yourself an opportunity to kind of slow things down a bit here for your opponent. But, we'll see what this turn has in fray here. There we go. Got a double gunner. Some damage around the board here. So I'm just going to continue to ping onto that that Corellia there. Free retreat coming out here. And we could just see, okay, the devolution looks like it could be get attached. Like you mentioned, Vic, the lack of a Cresselia in this deck means that you can, string this here where you just devolve. Oh no, you're just gonna go. Okay, yeah. That devolves everybody. That's actually the first time I've seen this card used on live before. That was some trippy stuff. My goodness, I was not expecting that. But yeah, there you go. That's gonna be a free 2 prizes right there. So excellent stuff right there. From
Well, actually, it only counts as 1 because you are knocking out this stuff.
I probably you're right. That was only 1 prize card. Okay.
I wish it knocked out 2. This deck
my
is broken.
Yeah, no, that was. Oh, because you know what? I thought that roll to the bench had 80 on it already. I was
yes,
like,
yes.
that's where I was mistaken. Okay.
So we are going to get 1 knockout, and it does mean that Gardevoir EX might not come out at all this turn because the Ralts has to evolve back into Kirlia, so we would need Rare Candy that we know that Gardevoir EX is in hand, but we don't know if Rare Candy is or not. So
right.
I like this play. It makes sense. You're forcing your opponent to find the Rare Candy, which they might not be able to. The play would be actually even stronger if you were able to knock out this Mew previously. But oh no, this is this is what I was worried about.
Yeah, you definitely called your shot for sure on that. So that's a tough bill right here. You know, the one card in the deck that cannot, one of the few cards in the deck that cannot be retreated for free.
Yeah, this deck has a couple weaknesses, and they're kind of insidious. Like, you wouldn't expect it if you don't play the deck or you're not familiar with it, but one of the weaknesses is that this Alakazam has 2 retreat costs. That one difference between 1 and 2 actually makes such a big difference in these matchups and how potentially good matchups can navigate their way to a win, like this Gardevoir deck trying to navigate this comeback and buying some time by bossing up this Alakazam.
All right, Force Shield Stone coming through here, but not going to do any good with the Star Aqua. We've already been burnt so far, so in kind of a really yikes hand here. There's really, like you mentioned, there's really not much that Keigo can do here. You're just kind of stuck.
You can take a knockout onto Mew if you would like, but I don't think that's correct because it would put you at risk at more Ionos, and I think more importantly, it opens up a bench spot for your opponent to bench Screamtail. There is no bench spot for Screamtail right now, so that your opponent has to either gust back again or just knock out the Alakazam, which you're okay with, of course. You don't mind if they knock out the Alakazam because then you can go back to attacking. So I think you just pass. I don't think you really play with your damage too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you just gotta pass the buck. You know, hope that your opponent doesn't have the pieces that they need. You know, a 4-card hand, only only a couple of cases of draw here. So you know, we'll see what you're able to get off here. Only 15 cards left in the deck, so you know whatever they don't have already, well, whatever they don't have already, you're assuming that they might already have. So you know, we'll see what comes down here. And again, another Kirlia has hit here, and the Guardi EX, so.
We might see a not a boss's order. We might see a counter catcher come through. I was going to potentially suggest a combination of Collapse Stadium and Lost Vacuum to open up a bench spot, which would open up Screamtail to kind of start sniping the bench, which would be really powerful. Get that Remoraid out of here, leave the Alakazam stuck in the active. But not going to be the case. No Screamtail to be seen. The bench completely full, and actually does find the vacuum. So I think maybe they don't have access to the Screamtail potentially, but that would have been a really cool play to see.
Yeah, looking at the list here, if there's any, there is the 2 Super Rods. So
yeah,
unless they're both prized, or I don't think one has been used already. So
we see a Turo actually.
Ooh.
So we could potentially still see the Screamtail come through, and using Turo instead of Collapse Vacuum does mean that this Inteleon with the damage stays on the board. So this is even better if the Screamtail comes out. If it doesn't, I don't even think you even attack. I think you just wait until you can get a Screamtail and then try to punish this poor hand from the Urshifu player.
Then I have the search card to get the Screamtail out now. Yeah, then there you go.
Okay, now we're talking from Gardevoir's perspective. This is basically your best win condition in this matchup, especially if you don't have Cresselia. Just getting your opponent to have an Alakazam stuck in the active. We do know that there is a Turo and there is a Rope, so all hope is not lost, but things are looking pretty dicey. This Screamtail is about to wreak havoc on the bench.
Yeah, this is not going to be pretty. Yeah, that's going to be a 160 on the bench here, so that's definitely going to be enough to knock out that that bleeding Inteleon VMAX.
Yeah.
So a 3-prize turn coming up here. And also we see that there is the one of legit. Oh, but wait, is there more? Nah, you don't need any more. You're chilling.
I'm not sure if that was... I guess the cape is necessary because you don't want Painful Spoons to knock out the Screamtail. You want it to stay alive, but you also could have just went for the Remoraid, and I think that would have been pretty solid as well. But either way, I think each has its advantages, and I think either way, this Gardevoir player is likely to win this match from this point on.
Yeah, that top deck, seeing VIP passes late in the game is just like, it's so deflating. Like,
Yeah.
Looking at the hand, I think there might be, you know, if you're a Kago, you might be recognizing, all right, it might be time to, I might just cut my loss and just move on to the next game and see what happens, so.
Yeah, the prize map is so easy for Cranidos King over here. Just has to Screamtail that Remoraid and then knock out this Alakazam, and there you go. Game's over.
Yeah, just again, just playing to the bitter end, moving some damage counters around. I just realized that's where they put the cards when the damage counters pop up. That looks it looks so awkward in the corner there. There's no room for you on screen, sir. Please excuse yourself. All right, man. This is looking all but complete here, so.
Yeah, with this luxurious cape, actually, something I missed was that it can just knock out a 2-prizer outright, so lots of energy to play with, lots of energy on the board. And we are going to game 3.
There we go. So
your hopes of going to bed before 3 a.m. slowly but surely falling away.
That's what I get for opening my my big mouth. It's commentator's curse. It's a universal concept. So, all right, tied up at 1 game apiece here. Now, if anything, I've noticed here when we come to these late nights, we'll get some really, like, you know, some long, you know, really down to the wire games 1 and 2s, and then game 3's a knock. This is what I've realized in some of these matches, but
can happen for sure. Yeah,
it's definitely possible for sure. There's always the one Guardy game you play where you just draw into hot garbage. So, or on the other hand, maybe the Inteleon Urshifu game where you just draw into hot garbage. It's all very possible. The deck can be unkind for sure.
I will say with the Squawk version of Urshi, I do like the matchup odds a lot better going first. I think it's so powerful. You put on so much pressure, and I think that might lead to a very different outcome from what we saw last game. And we'll see. I mean, this hand is definitely a really great hand to capitalize on going first for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. VIP pass to start. You have an Urshifu and Inteleon to play with already. So, can't ask for much more for sure. So, and definitely a very squawkable hand.
Oh my god, so good. No, actually, I wouldn't even squawk this hand. Your hand is perfect. You just bench the Urshifu, bench the Intel, VIP pass, get a Remoraid, get not even Alakazam. You could even get Medicham, and you're good to go. You can attach an energy to the Urshifu, force your opponent to play down a Manaphy. Yeah, this is a really, really, really good hand.
Yeah, no, the gas is certainly here. Ooh, but are they gonna do it?
I don't think so. Squawk is really good, but you don't, in my opinion, with this hand you don't need it because there is a liability to having Squawk. If you play the Squawk down, the biggest, I mean, for some decks, liability is having a 2-prizer out. Not that big of a deal in this deck. You have like tons of 2-prizers and 3-prizers like floating around everywhere. The bigger liability is the bench space. If you have a hand that's playable without Squawk, you get to set up so many Pokemon. You get to set up 2 Inteleon VMAX and an Octillery and an Urshifu and a Medicham and an Alakazam. Now you don't really have that option. So I don't really love this play, but we'll see if it pans out for them.
Yeah, I feel like it could be just be a case of getting lost in the sauce with Squawkabilly. Like you want to see, 12 cards in your first turn and see what you get here.
Yeah, here like if you notice, we have no supporter for next turn, and we just got rid of an Iono. So it ended up being kind of like the same result. Like we would have drawn into these cards off the Iono, unless we top deck a supporter. And also, you don't have Urshi. You didn't bench the Urshi or attach an energy to it to threaten a Rapid Flow. And I think threatening Rapid Flow is really good. You might be worried because Urshi has fighting weakness. Your opponent can take advantage of that at some points. But just forcing your opponent to have to bench down Manaphy is really nice because sometimes they just don't get there. Sometimes, and even if they do, you can take advantage of it with Yoga Loop potentially.
No, for sure. Absolutely. You're going to level ball coming out here. Going to grab the Ralts. Pretty standard stuff, like we mentioned. The and the Mysterious Tail going to come out. So, hoping for the VIP pass here. And will you look at that? Whatever, like the fine text says, folks. If your opponent needs it, they find it. So
here, Cranidos would have definitely been able to get Manaphy unless it's prize, which means that the Urshifu play would have been less strong. Oh, it's another VIP pass. But it would have been nice because, right, one of these Ralts would have had to be a Manaphy, which is just a little bit annoying for your opponent to deal with.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to get the escape rope here. Like you mentioned, the hand is a little bit, more awkward to play around with here after that Iono, went away. After getting rid of the Iono, like you said, you would have drawn in these cards naturally anyway, but now you got some kind of, I don't want to say dead cards in your hand, but cards that you're really not going to do you any good right now.
I disagree with this place too. I feel bad. I don't. Urshifu is a really hard deck, and I don't want to keep on giving criticism over and over. And I also will say that I'm not always right. Even though I've played Urshifu a lot, I could definitely be wrong in some of these cases. But I would have really liked to see this Inteleon VMAX actually hit the bench, because that way you keep your Inteleon VMAX safe. You can double gunner multiple times. You're not in danger of getting 2 shots, and you can surf and hit 40 onto this Mew. And I actually really like surf here over knocking it out because you don't want to give your opponent access to counter catcher or reversal energy or anything like that.
Right, yeah. This deck is loaded to the brim with comeback cards, so it might feel good just to get the the initial KO here, but it's tough stuff, man. But not only going for the the option I forget that you can do sometimes with this deck, where you only do not return the energy to your hand, and only do the base 70 damage. So.
Yeah. I will say the argument for taking a knockout here is just to draw cards because you don't have a really good hand, and I mean that plays out very well for Keigo here. So maybe they did make the right play, drawing into that Arven. If you know that your prize cards are stacked with cards that let you play the game, and you should have an idea of what they are potentially, maybe that ended up being a better play.
And there you go, refinement again coming, or excuse me, the one refinement coming through. Drawing a couple more cards.
I think this game will be where we see devolution come into effect. I think this is kind of like the perfect board setup for that kind of game plan. You have Arven to get you your Octillery and Sealstone next turn, potentially. You have a Clara to follow that up to get your energies back. We're in a really good spot here for the Urshi player. I would have liked to see turn 1 play out a little bit differently, but I think overall it's still okay. I think overall we can still make some good happen with devolution here.
Yeah, considering the Mirage Shop's going to come out here, not any real offensive danger. We're just going to see that last Ralts hit the board. The last Curlia hit the board here. So let's make it happen. So
Inteleon VMAX is a really good draw because now you can just keep double gunnering, just do it over and over again. Again, there's no Cresselia to speak of. You only have to worry about the Turo and Collapse, and you can, given enough time, you can set it up so that devolution completely wipes out your opponent's board.
Ultra Ball and the Forest Seal Stone. Again, just kind of weighing over the options. Like I said, there's a lot of intricate sequencing in this deck that you have to make sure you do right. So
Yes, yeah, that's for sure.
again, that's why I like watching this deck, because there's a lot of brain power that goes into executing this deck properly at a high level. So it's tough stuff. It's not for the feebles.
We see Seal Stone and Retrieval being grabbed here. I think I would have liked to see Ultra Ball grabbed because now you do have to Seal Stone for the Octillery out. This does save you the resources, like you get to hold on to this Nest Ball and Rope, which probably would have been the two you had to discard with Ultra Ball if you grab that instead. But either way, this should work as long as you don't need the Seal Stone later. But I do think you do need to get your Octillery out. I don't think you want to leave that up to chance and leave it up to your top deck. I think you want to get value out of that right away.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Like double guttering again, like you mentioned, so that's gonna soften the blow here.
And it does look like instead of going for a devolution all at once strat, we're going for a more traditional Gardevoir matchup strat where you knock out the Jirachi to enable Yoga Loop. That is potentially an option as well. I think given the position, I would have liked to see more of that checkmate style play where you don't even worry about the Yoga Loop, you just use devolution to its maximum.
Right.
You can even, yeah, I think if you don't have any damage on the Jirachi, you can even Radiant Alakazam and not worry about the boss play or the counter catcher play that was a concern last time, because because if they do that play and gust up the Alakazam, you can respond with the devolution. Alakazam can obviously use that TM still, so but no, we're just going to see a knockout immediately onto the Jirachi, and that does mean it can come back still to prevent Yoga Loop from happening.
Right, for sure. We'll just kind of wait over the options here to attack the active. Unless this is what we're going to do here.
I think this line of play of just going really aggressive, taking knockouts as much as you can, I think it makes sense. You are down to 3 prizes now to Guardy 6, but I think it's really dangerous. I think you're opening up some lines of play to your opponent that you didn't necessarily have to. But it does feel bad sometimes playing that more methodical, slow and steady, like checkmate style of Inteleon. Sometimes it doesn't really pan out the way you expect. So we'll see if it ends up working out. If the aggressive style doesn't get punished here.
All right, we see Avery come out there to, again, another newer card that's been kind of popping up in these Gardevoir lists, but again, it makes the choice very easy for Kago when the Squawkabilly's a card on your bench currently.
By the way, we currently have 80 viewers, I think, watching us, which I think is the highest I've seen so far. So welcome.
Just to you guys. Thanks for hopping in with us. We are continuing on here in our top 4 match winner. This is going to go on to face against Lost Zone Tina. See, the Artizone hit the bench here. Can allow you to search out for that. Basic without a non-rule box Pokemon put on your bench. And Jirachi is going to come back once again.
Jirachi comes back. No more Yoga Loop happening.
There she is.
The Seal Stone also didn't get used, which does mean that it is in danger of getting vacuumed, but so far so good. I don't think Cranidos has access to it this turn.
Yeah, it looks like the Steel Stone is safe for another turn. Again, that's the scary thing about it, about tools like that, man. Like, because tools are so huge right now, like you're always assuming someone's packing at least one or two vacuums. Like, the duality of mana of, do I pop it now? Do I wait for later? But
Yeah.
all right, so 270 on the Guardi EX right now. So what's the route here for Kago on this turn?
Yeah, it's tricky because, I mean, the math lines up well to be able to hit this Gardevoir EX for 140 twice, but the problem with that is, as Urshi, you don't play Gust. So even if you hit it for 140, they're at 180. Even though the math is perfect for you to Gmax Spiral yet again, they're just going to retreat, and then you're kind of in a pickle unless you are able to get a Rapid Flow out, which is not guaranteed because, Urshi V can just get gusted up. So I don't know. Maybe you have to kind of play around the Gardevoir EX and not even worry about it. Or maybe you follow it up with a Devolution just to take one prize. So maybe you could take one prize on the Curlia this turn with Painful Spoons, and then maybe Devolution after you hit this Gardevoir EX for one more prize, and then get another from a Jirachi maybe, or even Rope here. But you do have to knock out this Curlia before you Rope, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the route here. Opponents choosing the new Pokemon off the escape rope.
So I think the Curlia will come through. Okay, it didn't. So here I think, no, this is even better then. I am not sure that this was the best play from Cranidos, but I think this ends up working out really well for Kago because you can knock out that Curlia and you can knock out this Ralt and go down to 1 and potentially close out the game from there. It is dangerous though going down to 1 because you can get Iono'd obviously, and there's no Auxiliary, there's no Korrina's Focus as a backup. There is Star Alchemy though, so maybe that is kind of your hope that they don't knock out your Inteleon and get rid of that Star Alchemy.
Cool. All right, that's going to be another prize card taken here. So again, it looks tough on paper right now, but you still can't count out. You still can't count out Gardevoir. That's the scary part, especially when you're playing with these big VMAX Pokemon.
I think. Oh, okay. I think this play might be even better here. So instead of taking a knockout on the Ralt, we're gonna go with a Devolution, and that does mean you go down to 1 prize, but at least your opponent doesn't have access to Gardevoir EX anymore unless they find a rare candy. So you're just making their opponent have one more piece of the puzzle to kind of punish you. So I think this play makes sense. That being said, you are still very much so in danger of the boss stall play we were talking about last game that showed up.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part. There's the one of Turo in the deck though, so I mean, that is your really your only way out of that sort of scenario. So
yeah, we did see the Rope being played this turn, so it's going to come down to Turo. And actually something you could do is attach Water Energy to this Radiant Alakazam. I think that might be not bad, actually, in this case.
Oh, no. That's not going to be the case. It's going to be Devolution. Whoop!
Yeah, I think I would have liked the Water Energy on the Alakazam just to make your outs to retreating that much easier, but not going to be the case. Let's see if Cranidos has the response needed. They have no draw really except the Radiant Greninja, so it might be tough for them to piece together that counter catcher Iono play.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Like you said, you're going to need the rare candy to evolve the Guardi EX here. It's going to be really, really tough stuff, but okay, Curlia coming down. All right, the evolution to the Curlia, guarantees no Gardevoir this turn. So
yeah, we would need a candy onto this active Gardevoir, or sorry, active Ralts.
okay, like I said, the counter catcher stall play coming out here, and the Iono. Oof!
There it is.
Research. Oh.
That's not a research, but we are
I can't even say it was close.
With 2 more cards in hand, you can get Auxiliary, which can get Karinas. So that is potentially a play. But if we see Screamtail come out, knock out this Remoraid, that would also be a problem.
And it looks like the Steel Stone still hasn't been used yet, so...
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, so it is. So, yeah, I guess whatever doesn't come off the top deck here for Kago, he can easily just get and set himself up for victory here.
Yeah, so it has... I forgot the Steel Stone wasn't used. So it has to be knock out the Inteleon this turn. So we need to see Rare Candy Gardevoir EX into Screamtail this turn. And I don't know if that's possible because we do know one Gardevoir EX just got put down to the bottom of the deck.
Gonna retreat out.
Is there the Rare Candy? We do see Collapsed. No Rare Candy. So as long as Turo's in the deck, that... Wait, actually, no, not quite, because the Cape does mean that... This is tricky. So here, Stone doesn't win it anymore because of the Cape, and I think Cranidos played that very well to prevent that from being a win condition.
Yeah, this is when we're waiting over the option here.
So we could grab...
Do you maybe... cards. I was going to say, do you maybe Stone to get a research just to see, just replenish your hand maybe, but...
You can... Stone for Turo is an option, and you just don't bench the Alakazam again to prevent that play from happening, and now you have 2 Inteleon VMAX to set up to kind of attack. I think I like that play. Even though it leaves your hand dead, I think it might be enough. I guess the danger there is if your opponent attacks with Gardevoir EX. And you don't have
that's tough stuff
to work with. So maybe you do have to grab like Research and then start maybe double gunnering again instead of worrying about retreating this Alakazam in the active. I think this situation would have been alleviated a little bit if you had that water energy onto the active Alakazam, because I think Kago was a little bit scared of playing Research or Seal Stoning for the Research because you have to hit your 1 Turo if you want to get the Alakazam out of the active eventually. But if you had water energy onto the Alakazam, you don't even need to hit Turo, you just need to hit energy. So here, I think if Gardevoir EX comes out, which is not guaranteed to, but if it does, it's going to be tricky to deal with.
It's really down to the wire here with this one. It's attaching the energy here.
If we do 140, this Screamtail has 50 left, which means technically you can get there with double gunner, and putting the energy back and not attaching the energy here makes a lot of sense because now you can Ultra Ball away your top deck and one of the Rapid Strike energies. You can bench Alakazam. You can potentially double gunner. Oh, okay, but no, I think this Remoraid might get knocked out. What I was worried about was Remoraid getting Karinas, and then you can actually do the 50 required to knock out the Screamtail, but I don't know if that's going to be the case if this Remoraid will be knocked out.
Ooh, there's a Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, I think given that Gardevoir EX is going to come in, going to knock out this Remoraid, this Ultra Ball becomes basically useless. No Lumineon in the deck, unfortunately. So the game really coming down to the wire. But now the Screamtail only has 160 damage on it, only 30 HP remaining. So just 1 water energy. No, actually, okay, so they're not going to retreat. They're just going to attack the Inteleon VMAX. Okay, so I see. So they're now 1 turn away from winning. We could Ultra Ball here for Auxiliary to grab Karinas.
How much damage does the second attack for Remoraid do?
20, I believe. Oh, all you need is Tower of Water. So you just need to Ultra Ball for Auxiliary for Tower of Waters, and that would be game. Yeah, I think you really needed to attack with Gardevoir EX there. I think this is...
Oh, yep.
Too cute. As long as a tower and an Auxiliary are in deck, this should be fine.
Yeah, I believe we established that they play 3 towers and
yes, 3 towers and 2 Auxiliary, and I believe there's at least something in there.
I never noticed the Ultra Ball in the Melanie full art before. That's interesting. It looks photoshopped.
2 towers have been used, so if 1 tower is prized, you don't quite have game.
All right, moment of truth. Bingo
Okay,
boingo.
there you go. Not the last prize. And if you're the Urshi player, breathing a sigh of relief. Really interesting and close game.
I was just saying, please don't click on the wrong card. Yep, there we go. Bump the stadium. Free retreat with the Tower of Waters. And here comes the G-Max Spiral. Would you like to do extra damage? Absolutely. Just to get you over the finish line. And there we go, folks. That's going to do it. And there we go.
GG. Yeah, I think the Guardi, if they retreated the Guardi EX, I think that would have made it a lot harder for Intel to win. I think they would have had to have some kind of combination of double gunner and Alakazam, which would have been, I think, impossible with. Oh, not impossible. It would have been up to the Melanie to draw them like a retrieval or something. Really, really close one. Really, really interesting set. I like the matchup a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a really cool one to talk about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, we could do one of two things. We could flip it back to us on the caster cam while these guys get set up. Or we can just go to a quick break before our finals match. So
I do need to grab some water, so I think.
All right, so we'll keep it here. We'll keep it here so we don't have to flop back and forth. And while these guys get set up, then we can see any of their sensitive information like passwords. But we'll so hang tight, folks. We have our last 2 matches lined up for our last match of the night lined up. So hang tight. We'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Thank you. BRB.
All right, guys. I'm hopping back in while we wait for Vic to get back with his water. But this is our finals match of the night. It's Lost Box Tina. It is Rapid Strike Box. And we're going to see how it all shakes out here in our final match. Vic just want to go get some water, so I'll be solo driving for just for a minute. But yeah, Lost Box going first, though. Obviously not a bad choice. Want to start off strong, get as many cards in the Lost Box as you can. The benching of the Sableye that early leads me to believe this hand is not great. And here comes the Path to the Peak, a card that's not really going to play much of a factor here. And Victor's return with water as we were getting started.
I have returns, and it looks like both players have not a good hand, but it might be alright for Urshi. They could squawk here, potentially, which is okay. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, so again, so you've played several tournaments with both of these decks. So what's the path to victory for both of these guys? Well, obviously, less Tina, more Lost Zone, but like what's the path here if you're on either side?
I was about to say, don't slander me. I have not.
I apologize. I would like go on the record and say I did not mean to lump you with the Tina players. I will do better next time.
No, just kidding. It's okay. I think that I like the Urshifu side of this matchup a lot more. I think Lost Tina doesn't really have the pressure that it needs to kind of stop Urshifu and Inteleon from sending up the damage everywhere, getting some Yoga Loop shenanigans going. Especially now that it was such a slow start for Mohawk over here. I mean, we're going to hit for 40 onto the Comfy, which already, it spells kind of disaster. It's close to getting Yoga Looped already. I didn't notice, though. Was the Squawk prized, or did they just choose not to go for it?
I might have been prized. If they didn't opt to go for it there, then... Oh, because you know what? Path is down, so they wouldn't have been able to squawk
right.
anyway.
You're right. Sorry,
I was gonna say Path doesn't really do much in this matchup. It's like, oh wait, except it turns out Squawkabilly. Ah, yes.
It does. It turns out Squawk and it turns out Double Gunner too. So I think
it does turn out Double Gunner. That's right.
It is potentially impactful, and both players having a slow start, but Mohawk over here at least getting to Abyss Seeking. So even though I like the Urshi side of this matchup, I think from this board position, I'd rather be the Tina. This hand is just not good.
Yeah, this is looking real tough right now.
I mean, one top deck can save everything. If there's a supporter, that's good enough, I think. That's good enough to be a supporter. But you have to sequence this correctly. You really want to Karina's this turn. And the only way to do that is to retreat first and then evolve. But no,
right.
We're not going to.
Nope.
So, yeah, so
Maybe
instead we're going to have to grab the Tower of Waters instead of the Karinas, which is okay, but I think you put on more pressure if you get to Karinas this turn instead of having to grab Tower.
I've definitely had those moments where like I think I'm a genius for evolving first, and then I try to retreat, and then I'm just like, oh wait, that's right, Flaffy has a 2 retreat cost. What am I doing? Whoops.
It's most common with Beach Court and Flaffy, I think, but this is kind of a similar situation. The plus side of this play is that you do get to double Gunner this turn, which if you did the play that I was talking about, the Karinas play, you wouldn't get to unless you drew into Tower of Waters off of the Karinas. And I mean, without any switch card action, you can still get to Metacham this following turn. So I think this is still reasonable, but yeah, here comes the rub, I think. If this auxiliary gets knocked out by like a Cram, now you're in a bad spot again where you don't have anything to work with in your hand. Whereas if you did the Karinas play, you would have at least a couple cards to play around with.
All right, here we go. Energy coming down here. And here comes the Cramorant. And then, like you mentioned, that one choice not to... That one sequencing mistake really, could have made the difference here. But that's going to be Octillery gets knocked out here.
If you Karina'd, you might have drawn into another basic, potentially, which would have made Rope not an option to knock out Octillery. But now... What is the top deck? It's Sealstone, so actually we're still alive. We're still hanging in there.
the top deck of the gods. Truly drawn like a madman.
I mean, You could have top decked research. That would have been even better. Just kidding. Like, this is still pretty lucky, I would say. But there were a couple outs. There was research, Karina's, Iono, Sealstone, Arvin. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. Melanie as well. One option is you could steal someone for Metacham and Yoga Loop, but I think that's pretty bad because you don't have anything to follow that up with in your hand. So I think research makes the most sense here off the Sealstone.
Yep, there you go. Gonna grab the research. Attach the zone here and just trying to get it out of the hand as fast as possible. Oof.
Oh, his hand is not good.
Oh, brother. I mean, you'll be able to dispel one of those VIP passes at least with the Earthen Vessel, but still, your hand is less than ideal right now. That sucks.
We can double gunner here. Do we want to take a knockout to draw cards? I'm not sure. I don't know how many are in the lost zone.
Okay, get the rapid strike energy there. It's tough.
Um,
There's nothing more deflating than a bad research.
Well, okay. The knockout on the Comfy makes sense because now your opponent doesn't have any draw power, and you can just hope they don't have Chorus in hand, which would basically stall them, and they would have to Abyss Seeking most likely. So I think this is okay still. And you can Clara back for the Remoraid that got lost and the Auxiliary. So we're getting close to being able to do something. It does require this Tina player to kind of not be able to attack you this turn.
All right, Chorus coming down here.
Is there 10 in the lost zone now? I don't.
I did not see what the number was when they clicked on it.
I don't think it's that high, but maybe. Maybe it is because otherwise. Okay, so I think we might just see 280 come down, which is already probably enough to win the game, to be honest.
Right, yeah. Yep, gonna immediately get the attachment here and... Oops. Gonna bump the stadium just to play it safe. I mean, you have the Tower Waters at hand anyway, but depending on what the top deck is, that might not even matter. There you go. Lost Impact coming through for 280 damage.
And now you're either at 9 or 10, I think, in the lost zone, which does mean that you are very close to using that lost mine. We do see a Tower of Waters, though, so we actually can Yoga Loop this turn, which is really good because you can also bench Remoraid at the same time. So the game is still very much alive at this point. You can get the Remoraid, you can Tower of Waters, you can Yoga Loop. That was a very, very good top deck, that Metacham right there. You can Yoga Loop, you can evolve up the Remoraid into Auxiliary. Wow, okay, the game is still happening.
Wow. Talk about from the grips of defeat there. That's crazy.
Yeah, we get to knock out not only knock out the Sableye, but you can, Gmax Spiral the next turn to knock out this active Giratina V-Star and leave your opponent with just a Giratina V to work with.
There you go. First time all night that we've seen the Yoga Loop shenanigans come down here, so there you go. The Yoga Loop coming through, throw that 20 on the Sableye, and guess what? Turn 2 is imminent right now. So, like I said, Vic, you have an opportunity to really chop your opponent off at the legs here.
Ooh, Iono. I don't think you need to play it. I guess your opponent's at 6, but maybe it's still fine to. I wonder what the plan of action here is. I think it doesn't feel great attacking with that heavily damaged Inteleon VMAX. But I think it might just be the best option still. I think you do want to get rid of this Giratina V-Star on the board. You don't have any great attackers otherwise.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough crossroad to look down. I always find it very interesting when you get the Yoga Loop down, and then it's like, all right, cool, I get the second turn, and then it's just like, oh, what do I do right now? It's like I've seen it kind of fizzle out at the finish line a little too often for my liking.
I guess your other option is attach to Urshifu and then hope that your opponent can't knock it out, and then you can Rapid Flow next turn. But I think just taking the knockout here with Inteleon makes sense. And I think, did we see a Chorus last turn? I think we did. We Chorus, right? And then gated and then hit for 280. So I think you do want to Iono here because your opponent got to choose 3 out of 5 cards, which means their hand quality is quite good. So not only are you reducing their hand size to 6 to 5, their hand is in theory better than average because they thinned out some cards from Chorus. In theory, their hand is like 6 of the... It's 3 cards plus 3 of the best cards of 5. In theory.
Right.
So I think it makes sense to Iono here, but no, not going to happen. Saving the Iono for when they go down to 2, which also is, I think, reasonable, given that this list, I think, is only playing 2 Iono instead of 3.
All right, so only a Giratina V to play with here. Pokegear is going to come down. Most likely going to be grabbing the Colress. Nope. Why not again? Probably digging for that Roxanne, if I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
Or the Iono, we'll take those.
Maybe just thinning down the Chorus because you really want to hit gate this turn to be able to attack at all. You don't want to leave this Inteleon VMAX to do whatever it pleases. But, I mean, you're Ionoing to 5 and you need energy plus Mirage Gate to even attack. And then, thankfully, the Octillery does save you from the Iono. You can get the Krinas unless it's been discarded, which I don't think I've seen it yet. So I think that should be safe. That Metacham top deck, really, really huge. Basically saved the game right there.
Alrighty. So let's see where Nest Ball coming down. So another Pokemon will be hitting the bench at the very least. Big Cram. Ooh, and the Switch Cart.
Okay, so this is not bad from the Tina side. Yeah, not bad at all. We are going to go down to 2 prizes. Now, Octillery probably does have to grab Karinas this turn.
Looks like they can't go. I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with that at the promotions. Obviously, you have the free retreat at your disposal.
We might see Melanie instead of Karinas, which is fair. You draw 3 instead of 4.
Ugh.
We can 100 Furious Blows here, but your opponent's had 2 prizes, so it's not... It doesn't feel good, but retreating into Octillery also doesn't feel good, so...
Yeah. There you go, 100 Furious Blows coming through. That will knock out the Cramorant. It's a...
Oh, you're on the prize. Never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm getting tired. I thought we were
at 2
prizes still.
Yeah. There you go. That's going to be the knockout, so...
Game right there.
You know, we've been doing this for a little bit now between you, me, and Emily, and I'm always so excited whenever I see the Rapid Strike box on the meta game, doing well in the tournament. But it almost never comes to fruition. The deck usually either fizzles out at the finish line or loses in the first round. So I'm very, very excited to see the deck doing well today.
It's really good. It's really, really good. Right now in the meta. I'm not going to San Antonio, so I guess I'm just leaking, but it's quite strong. Out of all my cup wins, obviously my best finish this season was with Urshifu, top 16 at one of the regionals, and I have 4 cup wins and 3 of them are with Urshifu. I think the deck is very powerful.
This is a deck I would like to try myself before it goes away into the Disney Vault. So
yeah, it will be going away soon. You got one last shot.
Might not feel like it, but whatever, they could drop that date on us at any time. We really don't know.
That's true.
We can guess. I think we all have an idea of when, the big rotation is coming. But hold on to your cards tight, folks. You never know when you're gonna have to say goodbye. So. Alrighty, so once again, it's going to be Lost Box going first here. Going to try to establish some comfies, some Giratinas early. Got to get that Lost Zone count up as high as you can. Looking at the hand here On the other side, though, 2 researches, a VMAX, do you just kind of, maybe, depending on what the top deck is, you kind of plunge the hand away and, see what you get?
Yeah, I think you probably just research. I don't think there is a reason that the Squawk version plays 2 Clara, and it's because of awkward hands like this, where you get rid of Intelligent VMAX. You're not too bothered by it, especially because you have 2 more in the deck, unless they're prized. I think you just research and try to get something. I would probably Nest Ball, though, for Urshifu and attach the water and just threaten that Rapid Flow right away. That would be my play.
All right, Spiritomb. Sure.
Spiritomb feels so bad to play in this deck, but you kind of have to if you want to have even a reasonable chance against Mio.
Yeah, it's unnecessary evil, unfortunately.
It's the same against Snorlax too. I think you do need it for even a chance. Otherwise, it's just pretty much an auto loss. Eyeing down the Inteleon right now, I would really like to see the Urshifu actually instead of Inteleon. Just getting that attachment off is so powerful, whereas attaching Water Energy to Inteleon doesn't really do much because he doesn't need anything other than a Rapid Strike energy to attack.
Right.
Let me look at the list for Mohawk over here. And actually, Mohawk doesn't play Manaphy, so this is even if Mohawk plays Manaphy,
wow,
there is, I would say, more of an argument for getting the Inteleon because you're like, oh well, they're just gonna bench Manaphy anyways. But given that there is no Manaphy bench, Urshifu Energy is such a strong play just to threaten that Rapid Flow as soon as possible. Your opponent's probably gonna stumble a little bit, maybe Abyss Seeking, and then if you Rapid Flow, knock out Comfy, put 120 on Greninja, set up for Yoga Loop, suddenly you're in a really great position. But not going to be the case. We're just going to retreat into Inteleon, keep this Remoraid safe. That's probably the other alternative reason for why we didn't go for that play, just to make sure that Remoraid would be safe from getting picked off.
Yeah, again, we've seen how crucial Octillery is as just that glue guy. Late in the game, whenever you need that supporter card or whatever you're missing from your Rapid Strike package. So definitely want to protect the football on that one.
I think a little bit. I see the logic. It was the safe play, but I think a little bit too safe, in my opinion. It would have been cool to see Urshi pop off and maybe take these Comfies off the board before they get any value going for Mohawk. We'll see how it ends up, though. The hand is not too bad. You have Iono to work with and a Vessel.
All right, a couple more cards in the Lost Zone there.
Has to be Urshifu for sure. I don't know exactly how many are in the Lost Zone, but I don't think your opponent is really threatening a knockout on the Urshifu. But even if they were, I think I'd rather still give it up because it's not vital.
Yeah.
Here, though, Urshifu is going to take a hit. You probably won't see a Rapid Flow from this Urshi, I don't think. Could bench another one, though, potentially. Didn't have to squawk this game, which does mean that you have an extra bench space to work with. One more bench space than normal.
There you go, Spit innocently on the Urshifu. Going to soften it up for another turn here. Got a couple of options you can go here. Obviously, evolving into the Intel VMAX is important here. I'm assuming you're probably going to Iono, most likely. You pump the Stadium, of course, as well. So let's see what the fresh 6 is here.
I think we are going to Iono, and I think we'll probably Vessel something away. I would guess Turo is probably the Vessel target. Turo is nice to keep around for Alakazam later because, Tina can employ that strategy that we saw so often in the Gardevoir matchup. So could also discard Clara here. I think that's reasonable as well. And you might want to only take 1 energy if you're going to Iono this turn. Just so it's not on the bottom of your deck.
All right, gonna attach Rapid Strike Energy to the Inteleon, and here comes the Iono. Gonna see a fresh 6 cards on both sides here. All right, and it's definitely something to play with here. You do have the option to go get the artillery now if you want to.
Yeah, I think I would. Probably. I don't know how many energy are in the discard, but I think I would keep the Urshi around since there's no mana fee in the list. Maybe bench it, threaten another healthy Urshi to be able to rapid flow in the future, and then maybe play the retrieval and then get rid of an energy and an Ultra Ball to keep the auxiliary on, but not an option anymore. This Urshi is going to hit the discard. So we are playing with just the Urshi on the board unless we hit Clara later. But for now, this is going to be it for Urshis. And it does make rapid flow just a bit harder, given that your Urshi is already damaged.
All right, here we go. It's gonna retreat out. Here comes the Inteleon, and it's gonna be Gmax Spiral. Side note, also, like whenever I feel like I'm commentating on the Rapid Strike side, I feel like it's always on the opposite player side, to where I can't see what the commands are. So I didn't know it actually asked you if you would like to do more damage. Like I didn't know it phrases it that way when you do it on live. That's very funny wording.
And it is even funnier because sometimes you don't want to do more damage.
That's been cracking me up all night. It's just like, would you like to do more damage? Just like, I don't know.
Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes you don't want to knock out whatever.
No, yeah. The illusion of choice is not so much an illusion in that case.
I do want to reveal a secret of the Urshi matchup into Zard, and the secret is you actually shouldn't take any knockouts unless you think it's going to win you the game. If you stay at 6 prizes, they cannot knock out your Vs unless they play Choice Belt. So that's one way that it can come up where you don't actually want to knock out, like if you're using that Gmax Spiral into something that survives 70 damage but not 140, you might, like a barrel or something, you might want to just do 70 and just sit there.
Food for thought. Free advice. Take it while you can, folks. So the next one's going to cost you.
So we do see this Garrison of V-Star come through, and I don't know, I think there are 10 in the Lost Zone, so I think this 10 on VMAX is going to get Star Requiem. Nope, maybe not. Maybe it's just, maybe it's like 8 or 9 or something like that. But either way, I think this is a lot of damage to deal with right now. I think Turo would be really nice, and it's still in the deck, but not in the hand.
All right, so top deck's another Octillery here. Definitely some cards to play with here, for sure. But getting curious where your route out is here. Kind of just like an awkward, a little bit of an awkward, a little bit of an awkward hand, a little bit of an awkward board state, like.
Yeah, I think I would Rapid Strike search for Inteleon VMAX and then Double Gunner again and then research. It does mean that you're not very likely... If you attach the Rapid Strike energy, that means you cannot Yoga Loop this turn, which is okay. The other potential option is to get Metacham this turn and then attach Rapid Strike energy there and then just hope you get into an Alakazam out to Yoga Loop, but I don't think that actually helps you that much. Yoga Loop this turn. I think you just want to get double gunner value and then maybe do 140 with your Inteleon VMAX. But no, I think we're just going to see a rope here, which I am not a fan of. I think rope means that the Comfy is going to come up, which means your damage is not... Yeah, you don't get to do your 140 onto a Tina. You would rather
Right.
like keep these comfy around for like Yoga Loop shenanigans.
Yeah, he's definitely winning it over right now. Just gonna bench the second Inteleon, maybe?
Yeah, I think Rabbit Strike search for Inteleon VMAX, get both comfies to 60, and just research, and then smack the Giratina V-Star for 140. I think I would have liked to see. But now, from this position, like we might see a strafe to try and set up a rapid flow, but
Flush the hand away, see what we get. Alright, you have the VMAX in hand, but already bleeding pretty heavy here.
yeah, I'm not sure you want to evolve that, especially because you can't rapid flow this turn.
Right. Light Steel, so looks it's going to come down on the Inteleon VMAX. Again, just kind of weighing over your options here. It's really tough when, you know, your opponent's that close to the Star Requiem and you're playing these big VMAX Pokemon. It's real delicate stuff you have to work with.
Yeah, for sure. The Turo not quite coming through yet. Supporter hasn't played this turn. Steel Stone is available, so if this Inteleon VMAX does not get knocked out, we can potentially see a Turo happen. But if a Sableye comes through at all in any capacity, that Inteleon VMAX will get taken out before Turo can work its magic. I think this Remoraid play, the Strafing Remoraid play, does open up a route where Sableye can do 40 to the Inteleon VMAX and 60 to the Remoraid and go down to 2 prizes, which it makes it really easy to finish the game with Star Requiem. So I see the thought process behind strafing to a 1-prizer to kind of stall for turns, but it's really dangerous to make this play because of how efficient Sableye can be with its Lost Mine attack.
Right, yeah. All right, let's see how the turn plays out here for Mohawk. Again, looking to even things up here. Bring it to a winner takes all the marbles game 3.
I mean, Sableye isn't guaranteed to happen here. You only have 1 flower selecting to work with. There's 2 Psychic Energy on the board already, so I think 1 or 2 in the Lost Zone, 1 in the Lost Zone. So not that many outs to getting Sableye.
Path to the Peak gonna come down, so it's gonna turn the double gunner off on a pass.
Total brick, it looks like. And in this case, I think Seal Stone for Turo makes sense, and you just knock out the Comfy. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure
wanna
it's
knock out the Comfy in some regard, in some way, just to shut off flower selecting.
yeah, because like assuming your opponent's sitting on rocks right now, you want to take away any ability that they can to draw cards. Which even makes you question, like, do you even bump the stadium? Because that means if it means taking away Greninja for another turn, you know, assuming that they don't top deck themselves out of it.
That's a good question. If you don't bump the stadium, you can retreat. But if you retreat, you can't knock out the Comfy because you would have to attach for Turo.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So I guess you can't. But if you could not bump the stadium, I think that would be ideal. But I don't know if that was an option. Thinking about the Star Alchemy for Clara actually, and not Turo. I'm not sure what Clara is supposed to grab here. Just more energy, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a curious grab. What?
Oh, I think there's 2 Inteleon VMAX in the discard. Maybe that's why.
That might be, yeah.
I know that there's 1 for sure, but I think I might have missed. Yeah, I think there's 2. Okay. So I think we're going to go for just getting 3 Inteleon VMAX and getting a lot of double gunner value. I think that makes sense. Oh, it's only 1. So 1 is prize and 1 is in the discard.
I'm just going to grab the...
Turo kind of does a similar effect where you get to heal your Inteleon VMAX and have a fresh one, but you don't get as much raw double gunner value. Like this turn, you can Turo and yeah, you don't get the 2 energy back from the Clara, so you can only double gunner once. But you don't have any great double gunner targets to work with on the bench there. Tina and Greninja. I'm not sure the damage really matters that much.
Double gunner coming through once again. Just gonna start spreading some damage around. That's a 240 on the 1V star.
Looks like we are going to get a rapid flow this turn, and okay, I think, and we're going to see a knockout onto Greninja, and then putting 120 on the Tina V star. I think this play makes sense because you're basically setting it up so that your opponent takes a knockout here with Giratina V star, and then you knock that out, and they don't have any response attacker. The danger of this play is if they do have a Sableye, they can go 3/3 prizes really easily.
Right, but judging by how much time Mohawk's taken here, that hand doesn't look like it might have... Okay, it looks like it might have got a little bit better, so this could be your Sableye out.
So we might see Sableye here into flower selecting and hope you can knock out that Inteleon VMAX on the bench. That might be the option.
I'd say, Sableye coming down. Do you have the energy? Big flower selecting coming up.
What are we going to bring up here? Is it Sableye? Nope. Sableye not there. So we will just see, I believe, Star Requiem take 3 prizes. We are in danger mode. No Turo in hand, no Seal Zone access. Does mean that we are just a lost mine away from winning the game here. Oh. Yeah, I think this is really good for Tina. Unless the top deck is Turo exactly, it's gonna be really tough to bounce back from this.
Yeah, this is really tough stuff here. Unfortunately, the odd prizes really makes things difficult here. But there you go. Star Record's going to knock out of the VMAX. That's going to cut the lead. That's going to even up the game, actually, in terms of prize cards. So you promote the not damaged. You pray. Not what you wanted to see.
Not a Turo. So as long as your opponent has any way to get Psychic Energy, you will unfortunately lose. Octillery can draw you cards with Karinas, but if you play the Karinas, you cannot Turo in the same turn. So I think I would have liked to see the Turo come out of that Steel Stone last turn instead of Clara. Sure, you get 1 less double gunner, but I think that would have been alright. And I think that about does it. There's no Iono either. That would be like the other win condition, I think. You Iono and hope that their 3 cards isn't a way to attack with Sableye. I mean, it's not guaranteed that they have an attack with Sableye. We know that 1 energy is Lost Zone, or multiple now. And we know that 1 Psychic's on the active, and maybe there's like something like 1 or 2 Psychic prized. So it's not guaranteed, but it's looking really tough. It's looking really bad.
Yeah, this is not looking ideal right now for Kago. So to maybe play it out, see what happens. Maybe hope that that last Psychic Energy is nowhere to be found, or...
Yeah, so there's 1 Psychic in the Lost Zone, 1 Psychic in the discard, 1 Psychic on that Tina, so you can just hope that like maybe a 2 Psychic or prize or something like that. That would be basically your highest win condition, I think. If we were playing against the Water Energy version of Lost Tina, I think this win condition may be a little bit more likely, but no, this deck is just a very straightforward version of Tina. It plays 5 Psychic, so should be easy to close it out from here.
Double gunner a couple more times.
Yeah, actually, we were pretty close to getting a Yoga Loop off this turn, but there's no bench space for it, so a Yoga Loop would have won the game, I think. But
Yeah, it's tough stuff.
But not. You don't have the bench space. Oh, chat is mentioning that we could have seen Aqua Bullet come through from this baby Inteleon V because we did have Melanie in.
Oh.
So if we did Aqua Bullet, that would put 20 onto one of these bench Pokemon. You can finish off Alakazam and put 70 or 80 onto Sableye. That would have been game. Yeah, Aqua Bullet would have closed it out. The Manaphy, the lack of Manaphy for Mohawk would have been able to yeah, that lack of Manaphy would have given a win condition here, but not going to see it, unfortunately.
Yep. See ya.
We'll get punished by it. The Psychic Energy going to come through on the Sableye and just take those last 3 prizes for the easy 3-3 game plan.
Yep, see ya.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to think about all the options you have with this deck. You don't normally use that Aqua Bullet attack very often. It takes a little bit too many resources to consistently attack with it, but here in this case it would have been the right move. Just that extra 20 damage would have been just enough to get you there. And it wasn't a likely win condition because you did have to hit the Alakazam off the Melanie, if I'm not mistaken, but if you were to play to the out, he would have gotten rewarded.
All right, well, we will see a third and final game between these two tonight, folks. Mohawk, who performs very well in these late night tournaments, and Kago will try to bring it home once again. Now, hopefully, again, we don't get the fabled Game 3 brick on either side. You know, hopefully we have a... But, again, it is what saves Mohawk in that last set, so there could, you know, anything's on the table here.
Yeah, so close. Would have been awesome to see our Urshi players squeak out a win with that neat play. But one final game. It's not over yet. We'll see.
Oh yeah, very much still in the play here. So here we go, folks. Last game of the night. The Rapid Strike box versus Lost Tina. I love the little like advice text that scrolls across the bottom. It makes me laugh. And again, we thank you guys at home for joining us and hanging out tonight. Shout outs to the 80. Yes, so we got 80 viewers hanging out with us tonight. Y'all are the best. So.
Chat's asking if this is the finals. Yes, we're in game 3 of the finals. Winner
Yeah.
takes all.
Famously, this is for all the marbles, as
Yes.
Wise Man once put it. So, not some of the marbles, indeed all of them.
I think Urshi is favored, but still, there are options for Tina, especially if Urshi is off to a slower start. I do like going first still in this matchup, I think. Getting your evolutions out as fast as possible.
Yep, there you go. Rough start to the game, though, however. Never want to see a mulligan to start.
Yeah, I think Lost Tina, you don't really want to give them mulligans because they're more likely to hit the cram attack turn 1 if you do. But what can you do? Just gotta hope for a good hand after this one. Fingers crossed. that is actually a really bad hand. Like, really, really bad.
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, it's a playable hand, but it's barely so. Yes, you can squawk, but you really don't want to be getting rid of these two Claras and an Italian VMAX. Because that means this Italian VMAX is never coming back.
Yeah, that's just a tough ask.
I think you have to bench his Alakazam. It's going to be a liability at some point, but you also don't want to get rid of it forever, and if you discard your two Claras, you kind of do. You have to squawk and seize, though. It feels so bad. It's really rough. I mean, this is like... we get 2 VIP passes. That's really good, at least. So the game is going to come off to a hot start, and you can potentially win the game off of that. But it is going to be... I don't think the game can go long without those two Claras. I think you have to kind of like dominate the position and maybe knock out those comfies, prevent your opponent from drawing cards and whatnot.
Ooh.
I really, really want to see Urshi being benched here and attaching to an Urshi instead, because we do know that there's no Manaphy in Mohawk's deck.
Right.
Was there 2 VIP passes or just 1? Am I so sleep deprived that I thought there were 2? Wait.
You might have been. Well, there's that second one. There's at least 2 VIP passes on the screen right now.
I'm watching the VOD. There was only 1. Yeah, I need to get some sleep. There was only 1. I really would have liked to see Urshi come down, because Urshi with energy is such a big threat to their board. You don't want to leave these comfies in play. You don't want them to get value out of them. You want them to just sit there and abyss seeking all day. And yeah, I think just hitting for 140 just doesn't have the same value that that Rapid Flow does.
All right, let's see if we can pop off on this first turn here with Mohawk again, going second. Not a bad choice. You have access to Chorus, and like you said, with that mulligan, it does make potentially getting that turn 1 Cramorant a little bit easier.
Yeah, turn 1 Cram here would be actually quite good, but no, we're just going to see that Beseeking come through off of this Jet Energy. Iono is really good here because your opponent just Chorus and they just Abyss Seeking. They're getting like their pick of a lot of cards, and they're almost guaranteed to have a Chorus in their hand that you get to put on the bottom now. So I think Iono makes a lot of sense, and that's also a reason why I actually like 3 Iono in Urshi, but this list only playing 2, so they're a little bit more of a finite resource.
And again, here we go. It's gonna escape rope out. Most likely gonna be, I would assume, the Comfy brought to the active. I'm going to promote the Intel V here. And
one option is you can actually attach this Rapid Strike Energy to the active Intel VMAX. The downside is, I guess, if you draw into Urshi, you can't attach and set up a Rapid Flow the next turn. So I think this play might have been better, because now you can grab Auxiliary, bench Urshi, and attach to it. So I like that.
There you go.
Discarding the Urshi VMAX is okay, because you can still grab it later. But I would like to see Auxiliary here for Urshi V and just start threatening the Rapid Flow as soon as possible.
You're just kind of taking a look through the prizes, see what else you might need here. But again, yep, the Auxiliary going to come through here. And most likely going to look for a bump to that stadium, I would assume. Oh, no, we're just going to, like you said, establish your Shifu as early as you can.
I think it's so good against Tina without Manaphy. So good to threaten. And even against Tina with Manaphy, I think it's still good, because then you have a guaranteed Yoga Loop target to work with. And you can start stacking up damage onto the Manaphy. And unlike Comfy, it's really inconvenient to switch cart away damage off of a Manaphy. So... But no attachment onto that Urshi V, so that means you can't Rapid Flow next turn unless you get something like a Melanie. sad to see the undervalue of the Gmash Rapid Flow. Such a good attack.
It is very good. Slept on for sure. Alright, energy attachment coming through here, and just the Abyss Seeking. Okay.
Yeah, Iono probably put tons of good cards back on the bottom of that deck. I mean, they got to pick out of Chorus and Abyss Seeking last turn. So it makes sense that the hand is kind of dead even after 6 cards. But attachment last turn would have been really nice because also then you would have been able to draw an extra off of Corinna. Now you can... Well, I guess you can attach still the water energy and then... No, then we draw into Rabbit Strike energy. Yeah, so if we attached last turn, we would have been able to Corinnas for more cards. Now we might have to just get Tower of Waters potentially. Oh, there's no Corinnas in deck. It might be prize. I think.
Yeah, weighing it over. Do you maybe grab the VMAX now? Do you grab the Inteleon VMAX?
I think I would grab Inteleon VMAX because these are... The Pokemon on the bench are not prime targets for Double Gunner. You really want to be stacking the damage on stuff like Manaphy and Comfy and whatnot, so... It's okay to not bump the stadium this turn, especially because you only have 1. You want to make sure... I think 2 are prized right now, so you want to make sure that you get the most value out of those stadiums.
Here comes the Gmax Spiral. There you go, 140 on the active Giratina V. Throw it right back to Mohawk. Let's see if this hand maybe becomes a little bit less clogged. And that's fall once again going to provide some respite. Let's see what you're able to get out of here.
I don't remember how many are in the Lost Zone, but it's got to be quite a bit now. Chorus once played once, and there were 2 Abyss Seekings, and I think there was 1 Flower Selecting, so maybe 7.
I think that sounds about right.
It doesn't matter how far Tina falls behind. If they are able to do something like Counter Catcher up Alakazam, Sableye, Lost Mine, Auxiliary, there is always going to be a win condition for them. So it's still anyone's game, really. Finally, we did see the attachment last turn to this RTV, so we are threatening Rapid Flow now, which is good.
There you go, Mirage Gate coming through here. Gonna accelerate some energy onto presumably one of these Giratinas in play here.
Are we just gonna see a Shred, maybe?
Could just be Shred. Yeah, there you go. Shred. All right, again, definitely speaks volumes about the cards that are left in hand right now for Mohawk, if that's what your end game option was there.
Yeah, unfortunately, don't have the resources to Rapid Flow this turn, so I'm not sure what the play will be here. I think you just hit this Tina for 140 and then set up a Rapid Flow for next turn. I think that's got to be the play.
Yep, Double Gunner gonna come through. Just gonna throw some damage on the Greninja and the other Giratina V.
Probably Painful Spoons off the health, off the Tina without damage, I would say. No, we're gonna Painful Spoons off the one. Sorry, Painful Spoons off the one without energy. That's what I mean. But no, looks like we're gonna Painful Spoons off the one with energy. I think your best win condition is to actually wipe out the energy. So I would have liked to see like attack the active, leave the damage on the one with energy, and then Rapid Flow knock them both out, go down to 1 prize. I think that would have been pretty solid. But here, I don't know what the win condition is now. Maybe knock out Greninja and Tina with Rapid Flow next turn, maybe. I mean, we still don't have it guaranteed next turn because you do need an Urshi VMAX and potentially a Stadium, which we don't have more of, depending on if Path comes down. So it's really up to the top decks, I think, for both players. It's really up to what these players draw into at this point.
Yeah, this is gonna be kind of a weird one for sure.
Normally, like, Corinna's bails you out of this situation, but we did note that Keigo did cut the second Corinna from the list, and that means if one is prized, you don't have that as an option anymore. This auxiliary can't grab that supporter.
There we go. Just gonna do the 140 and see what is in the hand of Mohawk.
I wonder if Abyss Seeking last turn might have been even better than Shred, to be honest. Will the 160 come back into play? It might, I'm not sure.
It's possible. We're just gonna see at least 2 more cards.
The 160 does matter if you're able to get, like, a Star Requiem off on this intel, and then you would gust up the damage intel for game. So we'll see if they're able to kind of play the game without the power of Abyss Seeking, without having to Abyss Seeking last turn. Depends on what they drew off of those concealed cards. But that's like another downside of potentially having gone for this Tower of Waters, is that your opponent got to draw 2 and now they're bumping your Tower of Waters for Path, and you don't have any Tower of Waters left in the deck. You have to take a knockout to even have a chance of drawing into them.
Our retrieval off the top deck here. It's kind of a fistful of energy and a dream.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy to work with, but no double gunner. So you can't retreat this intel and still attack in the same turn. So I guess you just attack. Because now what you really want to do is be able to win the game next turn. So I guess
Right.
it's hard because the damage placement isn't exactly where you want it to be. Because if that bench Tina evolves into a Tina V-Star, it'll have 160 remaining. And you would wish it would have 120 remaining, so that you can knock it out and the Greninja in one go. But not quite going to be the case. At least we see the path bump being drawn off the prizes. It would have been pretty dire if it had not been.
Yeah, so at least
Tina...
Good.
I was just going to ask, will the Tina evolve here? I think that is the key question. If there is no Tina evolution, I think that's just game.
Yeah, that's kind of been like the awkward part about these games. Is that, like, I don't know if it's just because these decks play so little search or what, but not being able to immediately get that Giratina V-Star feels really, really bad. We've seen it be a factor tonight where, you just have these big Vs sitting on the ground here and a Roxanne coming through. So if you're definitely hoping, if you're Mohawk, to draw into the cards you need here.
Tina V-Star would be good. Even Counter Catcher is okay because you can Counter Catcher up the Alakazam and hope for some turns and then maybe get a Sableye out next turn. Let's see if he drew into any of those options.
It still doesn't look like it. No way.
Just the Shred. Okay. So in that case, Rapid Flow just wins. Retrieval going to get you there. Roxanne not going to be enough to stop this Rapid Flow from coming through. And this Tina in the active doesn't have enough energy to survive.
There you go. Gonna grab the 2 energies here.
And that'll do it. The G-Max Rapid Flow.
There we go.
Urshifu, crowned champion today of That's NA Late Night.
Yeah, that lack of Giratina V-Star proving to be detrimental to the game there for Mohawk. And it is going to be Urshifu coming out on top here. So let's go back to the caster channel real quick and we'll talk about it real quick. So hold on for 1 second, guys.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, and it's us once again. And yeah, like we mentioned, Vic, it is going to be Urshifu VMAX coming out on top here. Urshifu enjoyers rejoice as they come out on top in this week's late night over Lost Tina.
Well, they might not rejoice because now the secret's out.
Yeah.
Who knows it's a good deck.
The duality of man. It's like, do we play it into the late night for
cool.
testing?
It's really cool watching a list that I worked pretty hard on. Obviously, it wasn't the same 60 that Rahul played. It was 59. But seeing a deck so close to what I've been working on for a while is really neat to see. And I'm happy it won.
Yeah, it's like watching your kids like play sports. It's great, It's great stuff. So beautiful stuff. And listen, you heard it here from Vic himself, and you get that advice for free that Urshifu might be a good choice going into Sacramento next weekend. So don't you just make sure you pack those cards just to play it safe.
San Antonio. We're getting tired. It's getting late.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
What's geography? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, that's going to be it for us tonight, folks. So, Vic, as always, first and foremost, it's a pleasure. Is there anything you want to plug? Let people know where they can find you. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, so you can check me out on YouTube, Victor PKMN, but I'm also on Twitter and Discord, @Vic on Discord, __ @Vic on Twitter. If you're interested in coaching or anything like that, or sponsorships or anything like that, any business ideas or video collabs or anything, feel free to message me. Always happy to talk and always happy to answer some questions. Thank you for hanging out, chat.
I always feel like 10 times smarter whenever we commented together, and I can't wait for you to be in the same time zone as me again, so that way we can, I can pick your brain in real time. So
sounds good. Will do.
Very excited. And of course, you guys can check me out at Twitter at Koopa NJ. I'm popping up wherever. Obviously, I'm here every Wednesday on late night. I alternate with Vic and our other commentator in Arms, Lyric, every other Wednesday. I got some stuff coming up, so if you guys like Super Smash Brothers and Shouting into the Void and other things Pokemon related, of course, check me out there. Check out the Shuffle Squad on YouTube, of course. These VODs go up almost immediately after we're done here. But check out the Shuffle Squad. Check out everybody involved with the Shuffle Squad. Use, pay attention to there's promo codes and discount codes you can redeem for all of your Pokemon TCG needs. And, book a Metafy lesson. I know that, we got a few of those going around. I think Zach's got a seminar coming up, so like a class coming up soon on sequencing. So, if like I said, you're trying to get that practice in for San Antonio. You find all your sources here, to help better your game. But that's going to be it for us tonight, folks. I hope you have a wonderful night, and take care, everybody. Good night.